How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
Some idea.
I am not completely like other people.
What do you mean by that?
People dislike me because I am not completely like them. I am trying to do with my life something which few people try to do, and this influences my thinking and consequently my action.
What is it you're trying to do with your life?
Play the piano for people.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.
this the end? There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? Oh, I'm burning in the dystopia. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the dystopia. This is the final genocide. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in dystopia. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in dystopia. This is the final
Who the fuck is Karlyn? She's just some sweet lady. She's like in a knitting. She does like a knitting stream. She's like a knitting YouTuber. She does knitting.
Can we grow up a little bit and
Alt
not
Girl
be
sent $200.
retarded?
Have you
Please.
seen the work of Karlyn Borysenko? Anti-commie cult leader and is obsessed with looking at what actual far-left communists are talking about and organizing today, infiltrating them. They infiltrated the universities, schools, media. She has the receipts to back it up. Primary source evidence. Infestation is dire and she calls Republicans idiots eating slop. Agree.
Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, oh, I know Karlyn B. She's solid. She's funny. I
The
like
great
her.
noticer sent $200.
Literally,
So
not
it's,
Ian.
it's not a because I haven't dangled my junk into the combat zone on purpose to get some camera footage, but that's the big part of what's the
Is
problem.
that what you call reporting?
Go
and live
under if
streaming?
you're going to do it.
Yeah,
go
seriously.
undercover. Otherwise, you're wearing a hunk of meat in a lion's den. Nick Shirley, I love you. Take care of yourself, man. Karlyn Borysenko went undercover. Do stuff like that. Like if you want to expose this thing, don't pariah.
But
Please.
Ian, here's and I agree with you to an extent.
And lastly, we ask that there be no recording or streaming of today's sessions from the floor. And any disruptive behavior in today's session will result in being removed from the call.
We please ask that there will be no recording or streaming of today's sessions from the floor. Any disruptive behavior today could result in being removed from the call. So, just be a nice person. So with a little housekeeping things out of the way, let's jump right in.
Again, we ask no recording or streaming of today's session.
We ask that there be no recording or streaming of today's session from the floor. Any disruptive behavior in today's session will result in being removed from the call.
Situation.
Und weil der Mensch ein Mensch ist, drum braucht er was zum Essen, bitte sehr. Es macht ihn ein Geschwätz nicht satt, das schafft kein Essen her. Drum links, 2, 3, drum links, 2, 3, wo der Platz genossen ist, weil ich heim in die Arbeit einheitskommt, weil du auch ein Arbeiter bist. Und weil der Mensch ein Mensch ist, drum hat der Stiefel im Gesicht nicht gern. Er will unter sich keinen Sklaven sehen und über sich keinen Herrn. Drum links 2, 3, drum links 2, 3, wo mein Platz genossen ist, weil ich heim in die Arbeiter Einheitsfront, weil du auch ein Arbeiter bist. Und weil der Prolet ein Prolet ist, drum wird ihn kein anderer befreien. Es kann die Befreiung der Arbeiter nur das Werk der Arbeiter sein. Drum links 2, 3, drum links 2, 3, wo mein Platz genossen ist, weil ich heim in die Arbeiter Einheitsfront, weil du auch ein Arbeiter bist.
Здравствуйте, comrades. Welcome to Socialism Saturday. Socialism Saturday is when we watch the real far left, the farthest of the far left, the most dystopian of the dystopian. On Socialism Saturdays, we are not watching Democrats, liberals, or the progressives that were out for the No Kings protest today. We are watching real radical revolutionary communists and socialists that are trying to violently overthrow the federal government and basically crash land all of us into a Marxist hellhole in which we will own no property and probably all starve and stuff like that. So, you know, it's a heartwarming show. Socialism Saturday. It's when I show you things that you had no idea were happening around you all the time. It will completely change the way that you see the world around you. You will never be able to see things the same way again. And you will understand how irrevocably effed we all really are when it comes to the radical revolutionary far left, because for reasons past my understanding, we are like the only people that are actually hinged into reality with what the left is doing. And that is why this week we had a monumental victory. But before I get to that, I'm going to get to a couple of super chats that came in. Chicken Spawn, who I know has already departed, can't stay, but I'm celebrating with you tonight. Appreciate that, Chicken Spawn. Nuritu, it's going to suck for when we lose MGT in Congress, but she'll be better off away from that cesspool. I don't really care either way about Congress, if I'm being honest, because I don't even think that any Republican in the government really even knows what's going on. There is no part of me at all that believes that any Republican in the government today actually knows what's going on and is actually interested in doing what's required to solve the problem. So, I mean, MGT resigning, yeah, okay, fine. But, you know, I mean, I like her. I wanted to run for president. I think that would be amazing and awesome, and she should do it. But, like, will I miss her in Congress? No. Congress is a big waste of her time, just like it was a big waste of Matt Gaetz's time, just like it's probably a big waste of Thomas Massey's time. Like, all of them could probably do much more to actually impact the real world. And so that's kind of how I feel about that. And part of the reason I feel that way is explicitly what we're talking about tonight. Because, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm going to change back in tonight. I'm going to change back in tonight to the old background that we used to use for Socialism Saturday. We got some red sparkle in the house. And the reason that I'm going to change back into the old background for Socialism Saturday, actually, you know what? Let's keep it like that. The reason I'm going to do that is because tonight is a celebration. Tonight we are celebrating that we got for the first time since the McCarthy era, which is mind-boggling insanity. For the first time since the McCarthy era, this community, because of the work that we did and the work that you guys funded, we got a tenured college professor fired and his tenure revoked for being a communist calling to overthrow the government. Now, he actually got fired in earnest over 2 months ago, because what happened is I infiltrated and secretly recorded the Revolutionary Socialism Conference, which was an entirely virtual conference that happened on September 6th and 7th. And in that conference, Tom Alter, who used to be a professor at Texas State University, openly called for overthrowing the United States government, or what he called it, the bloodthirsty United States government. And so I recorded that and I put that video out on the internet. And you know what? We got exactly zero response from every Republican politician. No Republican politicians. And I personally reached out to many of their offices. I reached out to Ted Cruz's office. He didn't give a fuck. I reached out to Chip Roy's office. He didn't give a fuck. I reached out to who else did I reach out to? Who's the other senator from Texas? I don't even remember. Like Greg Abbott. I reached out to his office. He didn't give a fuck. I reached out to Ken Paxton's office. He didn't give a fuck. I sent this information directly to Harmeet Dillon, and she told me she cared more about my use of capital letters than communists working at taxpayer-funded universities calling to overthrow the government. So obviously, the people running the Department of Justice right now don't actually give a fuck about any of this. Thank you, two ladies. Red Sparkle celebration. Yeah, we are at Red Sparkle celebrating tonight. But you know what? There was an independent news website in Texas that did actually decide to give a fuck about this. And they started pushing this in the state of Texas. And then wouldn't you know it, people started complaining. And then it started catching fire. And then it went all over the news everywhere. And then within a couple of days, the president of Texas State University made the correct decision to fire Tom Alter. So what's been happening since then? Because it should have just been done a couple months ago. But no. The socialist and communist unions in Texas decided to rally around Tom Alter. They formed a committee to defend Tom Alter. They rallied literally thousands of communists in the state of Texas and across the country. This guy has been on a speaking tour all over the country for the past couple months. And the other thing the unions did is they sued Texas State University. And for a moment, they actually won. For a moment, a judge placed an injunction on Texas State University, or whatever it's called. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the lingo. But they placed some sort of order saying that they had to reinstate Tom Alter to his position because freedom of speech, even though he was calling to overthrow the government, which I don't really think the taxpayers, if I have to pay taxes, which I'm not necessarily inclined to do, but I will do it, otherwise I'll go to jail, and I don't want that. But like, if I have to pay taxes, do you know what I don't want them funding? I don't want them funding communist college professors calling to overthrow the government and doing communist organizing on taxpayer-funded university campuses. But apparently a judge disagreed, and he reinstated Tom to his position, and then not long after that, the president of the university fired his ass again. And then the unions kept protesting and they did a whole letter writing campaign. They started doing all this stuff. And of course, throughout this whole time period, again, not a single Republican politician, not a single conservative influencer spoke out against this situation at Texas State University. I had like thousands of communists coming at me saying, she clipped him out of context. She's a fascist. She's this, she's that, she's this other thing. And we had my community that was sending letters in and trying to get support for saying, no, we want this communist fired. We don't want him employed anymore. So it was literally us versus them, with zero help of any of the conservative influencers, zero help from any of the politicians, not even in the state of Texas. None of them gave an ever-loving F about this, and we won. We won. Because just a couple days ago, the Texas State University Board of Regents, the governing board of the college, this cannot be overturned at this point. They voted again to uphold the firing and the revocation of tenure from Tom Alter. And that means this is the first time that I know of since the McCarthy era that a college professor has been fired from his job for being a communist and calling to overthrow the government, which if you are a communist, you believe in the overthrow of the government. Like this is inherent. Communism cannot win in this country unless they abolish the Constitution and overthrow the government. So every far left communist is technically calling to overthrow the government, but fortunately for us, Tom Alter said the quiet part out loud because Tom Alter didn't know he was being secretly recorded by me. Hey, thanks, Andre. They got the live locations back on X to see all the foreign and local influencers. Totally. That's a whole other story. So, I've decided, because of our monumental victory, that we are going to do a little celebration tonight. I've decided that I'm going to do something that I have never done before on Socialism Saturday, and you guys are going to love it, and it's going to be awesome. Mikal for Life over on Rumble says, feels like a victory to me. Thanks, Karlyn, from me and In the Weeds 24/7. Hey, thank you. I do appreciate that. Guys, please feel free to throw in your super chat cover charge if you feel like it. Help us celebrate this moment. You want to throw in $2, $5 as like your cover charge to get into the class tonight on the way in the door? That would be cool. It's not required, of course, but if you want to start us off strong and keep me in a real good mood, it's a great way to start the day. I can't think of anything else that's worthy of celebrating other than no one has done this since the McCarthy era. Like, can we just wrap our heads around this? It has been, what, 75 years since something like this has happened, and we did it. And we did it with zero help from all the people who bitch and complain about communists and socialists every single day. The people who claim to be fighting Marxism and all this stuff, not a single one of them said nothing. But we did, and we got it done when no one else was willing to do it. So we're having a little celebration today. Because here's the thing. Thanks, Hans, for that. That's awesome. When I originally released my coverage of this, which you can see the date of this is September 8th, the day after this actually happened. Yo, 2 ladies in with this $50 super chat. Thank you. Very generous. Here's my donation to keep our research group going and keep our work going. I so appreciate that. It was a unanimous vote. That's right. Thank you, Master Shake, for that. It was a unanimous vote from the Texas State University Board of Regents. It wasn't even close, guys. We kicked their ass. Yeah, thank you, Chris. I do appreciate that. We got Grooviest, cover charge. Let's go. Who's next? Yeah, we're definitely going to be, this is not going to be the last time we get a professor fired. I'm going to tell you that for sure. Hey, thanks, Doug, for that. That's awesome. Awesome start to the day. So here's the thing. When I originally released this one clip, this wasn't the only clip I released from the presentation, because there was a lot of crazy shit that was said in this presentation. It wasn't just this one thing. And so if you actually go to the original article, you're going to see I actually released a whole bunch of clips from this presentation from Tom specifically talking about all sorts of different things. But Tom wasn't even the only person presenting in this presentation. There were other people in it too. And I want you just to note here, because one of the things, hey, your McCarlinism dues, thank you, go McCarlinism, exactly. One of the things that happened when the communists and socialists started trying to do everything to undermine this effort. Hey, thanks, Real KRO. I really do appreciate that. Is they started saying to the media, well, this evil fascist troll from the internet clipped us out of context. And so this was the argument. This was the main argument that they made since day one. She clipped me out of context. She clipped me out of context. She clipped me out of context. It was selectively edited. She clipped me out of context, except that I never did, because I always, and you can see here, just so you know I didn't take anything out of context, here is the full set of Tom Alter's remarks. I released the full video, unedited, from start to finish, of Tom Alter's remarks. Okay? Just so no one can say that, but of course, journalists don't do any research and they couldn't be bothered to actually include that in their story to say, oh, yo, pardon us. No, she did actually release the whole clip. And I sent the whole clip to Texas State University when I sent it to them the first time. They always had the whole clip from the beginning. But we're going to go one better tonight. We're going to do one better than even the full clip from Tom Alter. Hey, so Master Shake, quiet part out loud, didn't know there was a fascist in the crowd. Exactly. Or a bunch of fascists, actually, because there were a bunch of us watching that day. McCarlinism for the win. Thanks, OC, for that. I do appreciate it. Ralph, $5 for party hats and favors. Thanks for the heads up on the YouTube shorts. I do appreciate that, Ralph. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to do one better tonight. Because if the communists think that I'm afraid of releasing the full video under the guise that it will prove they're really not as bad as that evil fascist said they were. Hey, thanks, Malcolm. Tonight's tuition. He can't appeal this either, right? Nope, it's done. It's done. He's not going back to work at Texas State University. Tonight, for the first time ever, world premiere, we are going to watch the full presentation from the conference as I originally streamed it. Because you can see here, this is an unlisted video, and I have other backup recordings of this as well, just in case anyone gets any ideas. This is an unlisted video, and this was streamed, you can see the date, on September 7th, 2025. This is the original spy stream of the Revolutionary Socialism Conference, literally as it happened. This video is almost 7 hours long because we were watching socialism for almost 7 hours that day. 2 ladies in with the 5 gifted channel memberships, and thank you for that, of course, and congrats to everyone who got a channel membership. Tom Alter was not the only person talking in this presentation that day. You're going to see the full extent of it. This is like an hour-and-a-half long presentation, and you're going to see the full presentation of remarks. You're going to see the full Q&A. We are going to excuse me, we are going to go through it as it happened. And here, I'm going to do a little spoiler alert. Tom Alter was not the only person in this presentation to call for the overthrow of the federal government. He wasn't even the only person in this presentation to do that. He was just the one that got the most attention because he got fired as a college professor for doing it, but he was not the only communist in this presentation calling for the overthrow of the federal government. And there was a ton of other interesting stuff in this presentation as well. I have a ton of notes. You can see the original Substack with all the clips. These are just all the clips from just Tom Alter's remarks. There was a ton of interesting stuff in this presentation. And so it actually does make an excellent video for Socialism Saturday because we're going to be able to break down a ton of their language. You guys are going to see them saying the quiet part out loud. They say stuff in this that you don't normally hear publicly. And the reason that I am doing this is because I am sick and tired of being told by media and fake fucking journalists like the Chronicle of Higher Education and all of the unions, she clamped him out of context. Oh, did I? Oh, did I? Oh, did I? I don't think I did. And so we're going to show the presentation tonight, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to break it down. And we may even show some other presentations from this conference as well over the next week. Maybe I'll just start showing all of them, because I'll be honest with you guys, there was a ton of crazy shit that happened at this conference, and just the timing of it, along with many other things going on, I actually haven't even had the time to release all the clips of this yet, even though I have a fuck ton of them, because things have just been so busy. I basically went from this was days before Charlie Kirk died. I went from this to the New York Anarchist Book Fair to getting thrown into all of this other stuff that was going on. And it just there's a ton of stuff in this conference that no one has ever seen except for the people who watched it with me. And so that's what we're going to do tonight. And so thank you, Goro, over on Rumble with the $10 Rumble rant. I liked the German intro. Yeah, that's a good song. That's a good one. That's a good call me song. So let me get a show of hands. 1 in the chat if this is your first Socialism Saturday. 2 in the chat if you've been coming for maybe a couple weeks or a couple months, maybe something like that. You're relatively new to Socialism Saturday. 3 in the chat if you are a Socialism Saturday veteran and you understand all this stuff and you are just as obsessed with it as I am, okay? 1 in the chat if this is your first Socialism Saturday. 2 in the chat if you've been here, maybe you're like a newbie, couple weeks, couple months, something like that. 3 in the chat if you've been here a minute. Lots of 2s and 3s today. Lots of 2s and 3s. Love to see it. This is going to be, and I got a couple 1s as well. This is going to be an excellent presentation for people who are newer. So I'm really glad to see so many new people here. I think you guys are really going to like it. And yeah, this is like, I mean, literally, this was a couple days before Charlie Kirk died. And so, man, yeah, like it is actually, there's like let me see, Master Shake put in the chat, there's like, are you a pre-Charlie Kirk dying member of the community, or did you find me after Charlie Kirk died? It's like, it's been 2 different worlds ever since then. So yeah, welcome to all the newbies that have found me since the Charlie Kirk assassination. I appreciate you guys. Hey, Donnie girl, thanks so much for the super sticker. I appreciate it. That's awesome. So guys, that's what we're going to do tonight. Now, as a reminder, if you want to support the work I'm doing and keep me in business, because I am 100% funded by you, please head over to the Substack. That is Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. Sign up for a membership, $8 a month, $80 a year. That keeps me in business. I do not work for any political organization. I do not take money from any people who are trying to influence me to tell me what to say or what to do. My only job is to show up and to show you guys the video and to tell you the truth. And if you don't like the video evidence, that's a you problem, not a me problem. But I hinge into reality. I will not show you any political narrative. I don't give a fuck how much money I could make doing that, because I am sick and tired of all of these influential people only using the approved talking points over and over and over and over and over again. The truth is the truth. The videos do not lie. The evidence does not lie. And when you sit down and you watch it, you understand how much people on both sides are lying to you every single day. Primary sources are king, and my only job is to help you navigate through the primary sources, to show you what the language means, to show you clip after clip after clip of communists and socialists saying the quiet part out loud. That's what I do. And if you appreciate that and you want to support it, in addition to sending in super chats, which I very much appreciate, sign up for a membership on the Substack, $8 a month, $80 a year. You guys keep me in business. Another thing you can do, and this is a special surprise. This is a celebration. And you guys remember when I was on Fox News that last time, I wore an Are You an Anti-Communist t-shirt? And a lot of people asked me about that t-shirt. I'm wearing it right now. I know you can't really see it. It's got McCarthy on it pointing at you. Well, guess what? You can get that shirt along with some other shirts in the Red Menace Supply Company. The Red Menace Supply Company is my merchandise store. Let me put the link in the chat. It's redmenacesupply.com. And just scroll down here and we've got a special limited time offer through the end of November. And this is to celebrate that we are leading the new modern day McCarthy era. Conservative politicians want to abdicate their responsibility? Fine. Conservative influencers want to abdicate their responsibility? Fine. This community is leading the new McCarthy era. And to celebrate that, I have made all of my McCarthy designs 25% off through the end of November, including the Are You an Anti-Communist design. And then there are all sorts of McCarthy was right stuff. If you click in here, you can see what's available for each design, including like t-shirts, all sorts of tank tops, sticker packs, hoodies, all that stuff. Some of them even have a shot glass. If you're looking for a specific product or something, just let me know. We got these cool sticker packs. That's really rad. So lots of stuff available. And all of these designs are 25% off through the end of the month. If you want to support the work I'm doing and get the Are You an Anti-Communist t-shirt or any of the McCarthy is right stuff, now's the time to do it, because it's going to go back up to regular price at the end of the month. So why not do it now? That'd be rad. That would be awesome. Hey, two ladies, when we witness it in person is even more scary, in my opinion. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy when you witness things in person, isn't it? I do appreciate it. Hands in with the 5 memberships. Thank you, Hans. I do appreciate the support. Congrats to everyone who got a channel membership. We got average person in. McCarthy is actually my hero, bro. I know. McCarthy was a man ahead of his time. McCarthy got much more right than he got wrong. Now, listen, mistakes were made. But how could he not have made mistakes? He was trying to grapple with an overwhelming amount of information, just like we're trying to grapple with an overwhelming amount of information. And so was McCarthy perfect? No, absolutely not. but he got more right than he got wrong. And we need to learn from what he did, and we need to study what he did, and we need to modify that for a modern day McCarthyism, because that is the only way we are going to defeat the left. We have to get vicious. No fucking mercy. No quarter for communists. I am sick of this stuff. I don't want the communists to win. I don't want them to overthrow the government. We got to stop. Someone replied to me today. Someone replied to me on Twitter. They were like, well, Karlyn, I just don't know. I don't think we want to do McCarthy again. Is that a really good idea? And I was like, you are a massive pussy that will never do what's required to actually win. So get off, go somewhere else, because I'm sorry. Like, I'm so sick of these weak ass boomer conservatives who are like, we can't possibly get communists fired from their jobs. Yes, we can. We can't possibly get communists blacklisted. That's cancel culture. Shut the fuck up. You guys are all doing cancel culture right now. The Zionists are doing cancel culture. The Jews are doing cancel culture. The fucking Christians are doing cancel culture. The left is doing like fucking everyone is doing cancel culture. I'm so sick of hearing that we can't get communists fired because, oh my God, we don't want to do cancel culture. Everyone around us is doing cancel culture right now. Every single different political faction is trying to cancel the people outside of their political faction. And I'm sorry, if anyone deserves to be canceled, it is communists. like I would like to redirect everyone's energy to, can we please cancel the communists? Can you guys stop dicking around with Israel for like 30 seconds of your life? And can we please focus on the communists? Can we get them fired instead of the people who don't support Israel fired? That would be pretty great. That'd be awesome. Anyway, there's my rant. If you don't want to get communists fired, you don't belong in this community, go back and watch Fox News or something. All right? So we're going to get into it, guys. But before we do that, I do want to remind people that there are rules for Socialism Saturday. We do have a very specific way that we do things here. This is a class and a research group. And of course, we want to have fun and stuff like that. But I do expect people to follow a very simple set of rules when they join us. Consider this to be an open air classroom. I'm the teacher. You're the students. And I would like everyone to watch a short video to remind you of the rules. And this helps us be as productive and quite frankly, like not miserable, and stuff like that. So please pay attention to this short video that will explain the rules of Socialism Saturday. All right, for anyone that's new, we have some rules for Socialism Saturday. Let me go over them real quick. Socialism Saturday is a research group and a class. We do take this seriously. You're allowed to have fun. You're allowed to have a drink or two. You're allowed to kind of kick back and joke in the chat. However, I need everyone to understand that when we are researching the radical revolutionary left, we do take this seriously. And so if you're shitposting in my chat, I'm going to tell you to stop. If you are posting off topic in the chat, I'm going to ask you to stop at some point because it's going to be distracting to what we're doing. I need you to think of yourself as in a classroom. And I'm not talking about an online classroom. I'm talking about a real life classroom, okay? When you walk into a real life classroom, I am the teacher, you are the students. You are sitting in the desk, I am sitting in the front of the classroom. I'm standing there teaching you what is going on. If you were in a real life classroom, you wouldn't walk in, start throwing shit at the wall, yelling, saying, I disagree with you because my best friend said something different. That's not allowed. I don't care about your feelings. I'm not going to coddle your opinion. And that's going to be the way it is. And if you don't like it, you don't have to be here. But if you are in my classroom, you will respect my rules and you will listen to me. And if you do not do that, then you will be removed. And how you feel about being removed makes no difference to me at all. The expectation is if you're going to be here and you're going to be watching socialism with us and you're going to be participating in the chat, you are doing it because you are serious about learning this topic and understanding this topic. The minute that I think that you're just fucking around or you're trolling or something like that, you're going to get put in a timeout or permanently banned, and that's just going to be the way it is. Rule number 2, don't be a dick. Do not insult me. Do not insult other people in the chat. I can do whatever I want because I am the queen fascist bitch of my YouTube channel. So I can say and do whatever I want. But if you don't insult me and you don't insult other people in the chat, we're not going to have a problem. So be an adult, rein that shit in. Number 3, no whining. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care if you feel personally attacked. It makes no difference to me at all. And I promise you, I care about your feelings a little bit more than the left does. So if you can't handle me, you can't handle the left. If you start whining and complaining because you don't like the rules or you think you're being treated unfairly, you can just leave, bro. There's the door. You don't have to be here. Number 4, listen. Our job here and why we do Socialism Saturday is to listen to what the left is saying, to listen to what real leftists are doing in the real world. This is not to support your confirmation bias. This is not to support any conservative bullshit narrative that you may have heard on Glenn Beck that one time. This is not to be what you want it to be. This is to engage with reality. We need to listen, we need to actively listen, and we need to understand the left better than they understand themselves. That is the purpose of this exercise, okay? As part of that, I do ask that people refrain from debunking. You do not have a single debunk in your arsenal about the left is stupid because of reasons X, Y, B, and Z, or the left is her hypocrites for reasons X, Y, B, and Z. You don't have a single debunk that we haven't heard before, okay? And every time you put energy into debunking, that is energy that you're not putting into listening. So if I see you debunking, I'm going to tell you to stop, because you need to put that energy into listening instead. Lastly, break the rules of my chat or disrespect me in any way, and I'll just kick you out, and that's the way it is. All right, everyone, we are about to get this party started for tonight. I may change out. Well, I may change the sparkle background to something else. Let me see. Let me see if I can change the background to something else. Maybe we just do something like that. I don't know. Maybe something black. I don't know. Maybe. Ooh, here's a good one. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's a celebration background if I've ever seen one. There we go. That's nicer because now you guys can see your chat on the screen and all that stuff. All right, we are ready to get started with this celebratory episode of Socialism Saturday. I do just want to point out to people the presentation we're going to be watching tonight is the full presentation that I secretly recorded at the Revolutionary Socialism Conference on September 7th, 2025. There is no editing that has happened to this presentation. I have been accused resoundingly in the media of clipping this out of context or selectively editing it to make it look like something happened that didn't happen. Well, tonight, we're all going to see directly what happened. And just so you guys know, this is an unlisted video and I have backup recordings of this. It's not the only one, obviously, because I do that. And then you can see here on the date, this was streamed 2 months ago. It was streamed on September 7th, 2025. And the original chat still exists with this presentation. We're not going to watch it, but we could watch it. This is the original unedited presentation that happened, that got Tom Alter fired, and a lot of other stuff says other things as well. Yeah, and in the meantime, James Lindsay gets Vish fired, and Vish is one of the coolest guys on the internet, and that really sucked. And fuck OAN. Honestly, seriously, fuck OAN. Vish Burr is a cool-ass dude. He's super smart. He's super funny. He's one of the best follows on Twitter. They want to get him fired because he posted a distasteful video or whatever. These people need to calm down. Like, I don't want to hear anything about cancel culture. You telling me that James Lindsay and the fucking Jews canceled Vish Burra from OAN and OAN went along with it and Matt Gaetz went along with it? Fuck off. Fuck off. We will cancel whoever the fuck we want. And as long as I'm targeting communists, I feel like I'm on steady ground because literally the other people that are canceling people are targeting like the coolest people on the internet like Vish. So, anyway. Guys, please mount the like button if you would be so kind. Mounting the like button lets YouTube know to recommend this video to more people. And we are watching the video that got Tom Alter fired. Let's get this party started. Never before seen footage. And yes, you're just going to have to watch me in the video. It's just the way it goes. Because it's unedited. So we're watching me, which is a little bit like meta Inception, and that's weird, but like whatever. It is what it is. This is how it aired. Hang on, we'll get to where they actually start. It's a lot of sitting there. Oh, there it is. There it is.
Hello, everyone. We're just letting people in. People are still streaming in, so we'll probably take a couple of minutes to get everyone a chance to join and activate their audios and everything, and get started in a couple of minutes.
I'm going to put the chat over the video so that no one can steal this recording from me. Essentially, that's what I'm doing. Because they will. If they can steal my recording from me, they will. And this is actually the original recording, so it's not watermarked or anything.
surprise it was.
Start the
Can I
presentation.
just say what a great day yesterday was and what a great surprise it was to receive a call from our comrade on the flotilla. Very
They're talking about something that has to do with it.
Could have been,
Hang on.
outdoors and
It's fast forwarding till they get started. I thought I found it, but
session.
okay, here we go. Here we go. Finally. Finally.
So who's chairing the first session? We're still getting people joining, so we might take a minute more or two before beginning. But
Alan is chairing the first session.
Alan.
Sorry?
Alan.
Alan.
Alan SRS in the red shirt.
Cool. So we can make Alan co-admin so he can get the messages in the chat for people that want to.
Oh my God.
Here we go. We're having a good minute.
Start
or
the
less,
session.
And you can just kick it off, Alan.
Yeah, Alan, kick it off.
Alan, do you want to put chair in capitals in front of your name?
Yeah, I'm going to do that right now.
I noticed that was the format.
I literally just DM'd him that as you were saying that.
Yeah, you get 2 me's today.
There, how's that? Are we ready to go?
Yes.
Fede, how is the waiting?
It's down to a trickle. I think we can begin.
This is how you know
Let's
this is
start.
the original
You wanna
recording. Right
Take it
there.
off, Alan.
Will do. Good morning, comrades. Welcome to day 2 of the Revolutionary Socialism Conference toward a Revolutionary Party. My name is Alan. I use he, him pronouns.
Hi,
I'm
Alan.
a founding member of the Seattle Revolutionary Socialists who, along with Denver Communists and Boston Revolutionary Socialists, founded Firebrand. Before we begin this section on building revolutionary organization, I've been asked to say a few words about the purpose of this conference, which conveniently for me is
You know what I
precisely
can
that.
do? I can do this.
So hopefully without stepping too much on what the speakers are about to present, I'll just say this. Careful study of revolutionary moments in the
Look at
history
this.
of capitalism has revealed to us
Hang
two
on,
main
hang on.
patterns that are crucial for
Hang on. We're gonna listen. Look at this new layout. Now you don't have 2 me's. Now he's just in the middle of the screen. Isn't this better for everyone? Look at that. I am a professional streamer on the. Did you guys know I'm a professional streamer on the internet? Did you guys know that I can just do things in the layout of my own stream? Perfect. So much better. So much better. Okay.
I'll just say this. Careful study of revolutionary moments in the history of capitalism has revealed to us 2 main patterns that are crucial for communists to recognize and respond to. The first is that we don't decide when a revolutionary moment appears. Capitalism's own internal contradictions dictate this through crises. The second is that the success of a revolution is determined by the readiness of the most advanced layers of the working class to lead in the fight for workers' power, by the existence of an international revolutionary party, robust, educated, and experienced enough to take on the task of seizing political power and fighting off counter-revolution. With capitalism in sustained and deepening crisis, spiraling towards ecological catastrophe, authoritarian barbarism, and the inner imperialist conflict that could spell the near or total extinction of the human race and is already wiping out entire nations through genocide.
No, guys, if I could watermark it, I would watermark it. And I appreciate that people keep suggesting that, but if I could, I would. That's not the way this works. Like this was streamed. This is the original fucking feed. Everyone relax.
The project of building this structure is more urgent than it has ever been. Time is not on our side. And at the same time, we cannot afford to compromise political clarity in a rush to unify the left. We must learn from the long and storied history of revolutionary moments and from our own experience as organizers how to exhibit tactical flexibility and revolutionary intransigence, whilst avoiding the twin deadly pitfalls of opportunism and ultra-leftism. In Firebrand, we make a practice of doing just this. We combine the long and arduous process of political education with active involvement in working class struggle against genocide, racist and anti-LGBT oppression, imperialism, the police state, and worker exploitation. Often, we engage in these struggles in coalition with other socialist organizations. This is a vital means of winning small battles and presents us the opportunity to sharpen our theoretical tools and potentially strengthen the left overall by way of debate and influence. Our ability to do such work rests on the foundation of our internal democracy, a practice that we strive to make resemble the workers' democracy we wish to see on a worldwide scale post-revolution, with leadership that is accountable to and recallable by the membership. Through these practices, we develop cadre, that is, members who are prepared to win radicalizing workers to revolutionary socialist ideas and to guide movements to tactical victories. We believe it is this strategy that will lead the revolutionary left to the formation of a revolutionary party capable of winning socialism. All of you who have registered for this conference will be hearing from us within the next few days. If you are currently unaffiliated, we strongly encourage you to consider membership in Firebrand or Socialist Horizon. If there is no branch in your area at this time, consider becoming an at-large member. Firebrand has already launched a branch in New York with members who started by attending other branches' meetings online, and we are confident that we can repeat the process. Comrades in Seattle, San Diego, Denver, Madison, Boston, and New York City will welcome you to our meetings and study groups and out into the streets with us. We sincerely hope to see you all again. All right, so just a few housekeeping matters before I introduce the speakers and kick the session off. We're going to have 2 speakers in this session. They'll be allotted 15 minutes each. I will be keeping a timer. I will remind comrades to wrap up when it's getting close to time. When we have the discussion period, we will be doing it by way of progressive stack. So the way that you get on the stack to participate in the discussion is to message me directly and just type stack in. We want to do this in a progressive way that prioritizes the voices of people who might not ordinarily be prioritized in society.
Does everyone understand what they mean by progressive stack? Has anyone not heard of progressive stack before? Okay, just in case people are new, because I know, again, we do have a lot of new people, which I very, very much appreciate. Progressive stack is basically this was really bigger a couple years ago. Like I used to call it the woke oppression hierarchy, but essentially there's an extremely famous video from an old Democratic Socialists of America convention in which they were arguing about who was the most oppressed, because the most oppressed people get to go to the front of the line. So essentially, progressive stack is this whole idea that if you're trans, you go to the front of the line. If you're black, you go to the front of the line. If you are a black trans person, you go ahead of both the black and the trans person because you have 2 intersectionality points rather than just 1. If you're a woman, you go ahead of the man. If you are so it's basically it's about flipping the hierarchy on its head by promoting the voices of the oppressed. So essentially, if you were a woman in this chat, you could chat in like progressive stack or whatever, and you could, present your woke bona fides, and they would move you to the center, to the front of the line. That's essentially what they're talking about.
So if you want to identify yourself as a member of a marginalized population and would like to be given priority on the stack, that is up to you, and we will definitely put those to the front. So you indicate that by messaging me with Stack Plus. We will also try to prioritize questions.
Check this out, guys. I can do a watermark. Oh, shit. Can't. Shit. Hang on. I fucked something up. I thought I was being fancy. I thought I was about to add a watermark, and now I can't add a watermark. Hang on. It's coming back. Okay, we're back. Sorry.
And at 3 minutes, you're done. You're going to get cut off because we got a lot of people in here and we want as many people to talk as possible. There will be debate, more than likely. Please keep the debate comradely. Calls on who should or should not be here will be made by the session admins and the chair based on disruptive behavior and or reactionary views. All right, I think that's all the housekeeping. So without further ado, our two speakers for today are Steve L. from Firebrand, Seattle Revolutionary Socialists, and Tom A. from Socialist Horizon. And I think I've got my alphabet right, and we're just going to go alphabetical by first name. So, Steve, if you're ready, take it away.
We love Steve. We love there's no watermarking coming. It's not going to work. It's fine. We love Steve. Steve says the quiet part out loud. All right. I'm not going to keep fiddling.
Recording in progress.
Sorry about the delay. Hi, thank you so much for coming to this conference. It's been great so far. And
for people who don't know, we have watched Steve Lee many times on this channel. Steve Lee is one of the leaders of the Seattle Revolutionary Socialists. We have Steve separate from this conference calling to overthrow the government because he's done it on video many times before. And so if you are going to hang out, you're going to become very familiar with him because he is a very committed and dedicated communist, and he says the quiet part out loud all the time, and that's why we really appreciate Steve.
Expected to be great today. This talk that I'm going to give right now is going to lay out briefly why we need a revolutionary socialist vanguard party, and secondly, how in this period we act to try to bring that about. The crisis of Marxism in the US today is a crisis of organization. There are thousands of Marxists and people becoming Marxists who are not yet organized. We need to make up that deficit. Revolutions are caused by capitalism. Capitalism is a crisis-ridden system. Revolutions develop, as Lenin said, when
revolutions are caused by capitalism. As a reminder, socialists and communists believe capitalism causes literally every single problem that has ever been caused anywhere. And this is no different. They believe that capitalism is causing a literal revolution in this country by awakening the proletariat to the fact that they are oppressed and they can't afford anything and blah, 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 blah. This is a very important point. The vanguard is the name for the group that leads the revolution. And there are a lot of different competing groups on the far left right now. Who is actually going to be the vanguard group, the group that's going to be leading them? There are a bunch of different groups that are all trying to be the vanguard.
And the ruling class can no longer rule in the old way, and the oppressed refuse to be ruled in the old way. There have been waves of revolution across capitalism. 1848, 1917 to 19, 1946, 1968 to 74, 2011, 2019, etc. Organized revolutionaries are not needed to cause revolution, but they are needed to make it successful. What is needed in a revolutionary situation is a revolutionary...
So I want to be very clear about this because, again, I'm being accused of clipping this out of context. This entire discussion was about organizing the revolutionary group that is going to lead the revolution to overthrow the government. It was not just Tom Alter that was talking about this. The reason that Tom Alter was so overt in what he was saying is because this entire presentation is about doing the organizing required to be the vanguard party, to set themselves up to be the ones to lead the revolution. That is what this entire thing is about. I want to be very clear about that, because that's what he's saying. If we want this revolution to happen, here is what we need to do and the things we need to think about in order to get our revolution. This was not a theoretical conversation. If it was a theoretical conversation, they wouldn't have labeled it as organizing. Organizing to what? organizing to the theory of maybe someday we can imagine it overthrowing the government? Why are they organizing groups? Why are they trying to think about what strategy they need to take? This is not theoretical. This is something that they were actually planning on doing.
For 2011, 2019, etc. Organized revolutionaries are not needed to cause revolution, but they are needed to make it successful. What is needed in a revolutionary situation is a revolutionary socialist vanguard party, the most revolutionary section of the working class, organized to convince the rest of the working class to take power. The reason for this is that the working class is divided politically. The ruling ideas of any age, as Marx said, are the ideas of the ruling class. Until a revolutionary situation develops, the majority of the working class is not yet revolutionary. The party is needed before the revolutionary crisis hits to win as many people as possible to revolutionary ideas. So therefore, having a strong enough party to help lead during a revolution. A revolutionary socialist party is needed during a revolution for several reasons.
Okay. It's time to hinge into reality here. All of this stuff was happening under the first Trump presidency. All of these groups were doing exactly the same thing under the first Trump presidency as they were doing under the Biden presidency, as they are still doing now. Trump has been in office almost an entire year. And the same groups that were organizing under Biden are doing exactly the same thing now, except actually getting worse about it. These groups are getting worse since Trump took office, and Trump isn't doing fuck off about it. So do not make this well, this all happened because of Joe Biden. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. It had nothing to fucking do with that. All of this was going on back in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. All of this was going on during Biden's presidency. All of it is continuing to go on under Trump's presidency. This has nothing to do with any of that. This is the culmination of 100 years of communist organizing in the United States. This has been going on through every Democrat presidency since World War II. This has been going on in every Republican presidency since World War II. This has nothing to do with fucking Obama. This has nothing to do with fucking Clinton. Has nothing to do with the Bushes. Has nothing to do with Reagan. Has nothing to do with any of that. This has been going on for almost 100 years. And it keeps escalating and building because no one is doing anything to stop it. And every time we try to talk about it, we get, well, that happened because of Obama. That happened because of Biden. No, it fucking didn't. Stop making this about the Democrats.
The capitalists and the reformists will be organized. If we're not organized, that if the revolutionary side is not organized, we will lose.
The reformists are the
working class can
DSA.
strive for a socialist revolution.
Okay. I need to say something else here because you're going to hear a lot in this presentation. They're going to shit talk the Democratic Socialists of America. They're going to shit talk the Party for Socialism and Liberation. They're going to shit talk the reformists. One of the things that you need to understand is that this was day 2 of this conference. On day 1 of this conference, there was a whole confrontation and struggle session between the reformers who were there and the revolutionaries, because there was a group of reformers there who were trying to get a socialist elected to the city council. Now, I've discussed the difference between reformers and revolutionaries many times on this channel. The difference is reformers are like the DSA, like Zoran Mandami. They want a post-capitalist society, but they believe in getting elected to local positions in order to make small incremental changes over time. The revolutionaries, Steve Lee is a revolutionary. Tom Alter is a revolutionary. The revolutionaries do not believe in running people in elections. They do not vote for Democrats. No, they fucking don't. They do not vote in elections. They do not run candidates in elections. They were shit-talking the DSA and Zoran Mandami this entire time. And there was a struggle session on day 1. This presentation came at the beginning of day 2 of the conference, okay? On day 1, There was a struggle session between a number of socialists in Seattle that were working for this person to get this person into an elected position. And people like Steve Lee and many other communists were like, what the fuck are you even doing here? And it was a whole big thing because the revolutionaries were like, what the fuck are you guys even talking about? You guys are traitors to us. And so the reason that Steve Lee specifically brings up reformers there is because the struggle session happened the day before this. And so this is top of mind for him. He's still pissed off that the reformers came to his revolutionary socialism conference. And he's saying, if we don't defeat the reformers, they win. He is not on the same team as Zoran Mandami and the DSA. In fact, have you guys seen, there were a whole bunch of communist accounts that were really pissed. I told you this was going to happen yesterday. When Zoran Mandami met with Trump yesterday, I was like, oh shit, the socialists are about to be really pissed off at him. And sure enough, there were a whole bunch of socialist accounts yesterday who were basically like, fuck Zoran Mandami, he's an evil capitalist now, he sold us out, he's a traitor, yada, yada, yada. The reason they're doing that is because they all believe that Zoran Mandami is going to get sucked into the political machine and become an evil capitalist, just like AOC did, just like Bernie Sanders did. And so they were shit-talking him the entire time. And the reason that Steve Lee says we need to defeat the reformers, he's talking about the DSA. All right? He believes that the DSA is one of the biggest problems he has in getting his communist revolution. Hope that is clear to everyone. If you have questions, do let me know. Listen again.
Party is needed during a revolution for several reasons. The capitalists and the reformists will be organized. If we're not organized, that is, the revolutionary side is not organized, we will lose. The working class can strive for a socialist revolution, but not see it as possible if there's not a strong material force that can help lead that revolution. Workers must see the realistic possibility in order to complete the revolutionary process. We need a mass party so that workers can see it as realistic that they can take power. We need experienced cadre to maneuver during the twists and turns of the revolutionary period. And many times in the 20th and 21st century, revolutions, working class revolutions, have broken out but failed for the lack of a revolutionary socialist vanguard party. The only time workers have taken power and begun the process of creating a worker state was in Russia in 1917. And that was because the Bolshevik Party was a well-developed and strong, well-rooted party at the time of the revolution. So what a revolutionary socialist vanguard party is not, is a tiny sect self-proclaiming itself to be the party, because it is not just a perfect program that makes a successful party. It has to be an actual embodied material force of a section of the workers. Clear politics is vital, but it is not enough on its own. Revolutionary Party is not a guerrilla force outside the working class. Self-emancipation of the working class requires that a section of the class lead the rest of the class to take power. So the question today is, how do we get there? Before we get to how do we get there, I would like to address some.
Again, I want to emphasize this. This is not a theoretical discussion. This is, how do we get to the place where we have organized a revolutionary vanguard party in order to lead the revolution of the proletariat, which means overthrowing the government. They're literally talking about, how do we recreate the conditions of the Russian Revolution in the United States today? This is not a theoretical discussion. This is not a thought exercise. This is them trying to move the ball forward, saying there's got to be a revolutionary vanguard party, and we want to be it.
Emancipation of the working class requires that a section of the class lead the rest of the class to take power.
Oh, yeah?
So the question today is, how do we get there? Well, before we get to how do we get there, I would like to address some ideas of how not to get there. One is the idea of spontaneity. Some on the left today argue that the only thing revolutionaries should be involved in are organizing what they call infrastructures of resistance or infrastructures of dissent, that somehow That's the role of revolution.
Hang on, let's grab this super chat from Jen here. Thanks, Jen, for the super chat. Does no one remember McCarthyism and the Army McCarthy trials from the early 50s, I believe the 1950s, which were all about communism in America way back before Obama was ever born? Obama was born in 61. Yeah, I agree with you, Jen. Like, I agree with you. And that's a reflection of conservative media having programmed its audience to believe that all of this is happening because of Obama when Obama had nothing to do with it. Sorry.
One leading person in this tendency said at Socialism 2023 that if there were a revolutionary party, he would join it. But this is not the attitude that revolutionaries need to take. We need to build towards a revolutionary party, not just wait for something to develop. This idea of spontaneity.
We need to build towards a revolutionary party rather than just waiting for something to develop.
That revolutionaries need to take. We need to build towards a revolutionary party, not just wait for something to develop. This idea of spontaneity misunderstands the role of revolutionaries. The key role of revolutionaries is to influence and lead class struggle and the revolution, not to produce the class struggle. Revolutionaries are, of course, part of the process of class struggle. We want to build it as much as possible. And in order to gain credibility, we need to be involved in the class struggle. We need to gain experience, influence struggle, and use our intervention to find and build cadre. However, the most important contribution we can make is not building struggle, but having clear ideas and organization.
Oh, yeah? What state are you in, Jeff? Let him bring that weak-ass shit to my red state. What state are you in? What state are you in? Because the professor that we got fired worked at Texas State University. He did not work in a blue state. The professor you're going to see calling to overthrow the government in this was a tenured professor at Texas State University. Oh, you're in Arkansas? It's absolutely in Arkansas, bro. It's absolutely in Arkansas. In fact, the far left has specifically targeted southern states like Arkansas, like Mississippi, especially Louisiana, to do organizing specifically in rural areas. So there's these organizations. Hang on? Let me see. Hang on one sec. There's independent bookstores with radical ideology in Fayetteville. Wadsworth bookstores in Little Rock. Galleries and bookstores at Liberty Square in Little Rock. Dog-eared books. Dog-eared books is where? I'm looking this up right now. Dog-eared books is in Russellville. Here, you can see this too. This is a list of radical revolutionary bookstores where you will find far-left material in Arkansas, Jeff. This is, oh, you guys can't really see it, but like this is, so you got dog-eared books. This is absolutely communist. I promise you, if you go in, that there's going to be communist stuff there. Fort Smith, Chapters on Maine, Dixon Bookshop in Fayetteville, Pearl's Books in Fayetteville. Go to any of those bookstores, Jeff, and you're going to find radical revolutionary socialist material. And that was like literally a 30-second search. I didn't even try that hard, bro. I didn't even try that hard. It is in every state. It is in Oklahoma. The Oklahoma communists have a huge contingent that go to the Socialism Conference every single year. It is all throughout Louisiana. It is all throughout Florida. It's in North Carolina, South. It is literally every single state. Is Jeff still whining in the chat because he thinks he's going to defeat all the communists? Let's see. Let me see. Oh, you're ready? You're ready? You're ready? Hey, Jeff, how does the far left define capitalism? You're ready, big boy? How does the far left define capitalism? This is a question just for you. Jeff, why haven't you done anything to actually stop this? Those communists gonna show us. What state did Charlie Kirk get murdered in? Oh, that was Utah. That was Utah. What, is Utah a red state? Jeff, that wasn't actually the question I asked you, big boy. I asked you, what is the left's definition of capitalism? I want to see how much you know. Do you know anything about your enemy at all? We are going to defeat them. They better not. Do you know anything about your enemy at all, Jeff? Do you know anything about your enemy at all? We're waiting. What is the left's definition of capitalism? Go. This is why conservatives will always lose to the left, because people like Jeff, they're going to come, we've got all the guns. And blah, 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 blah. People like Jeff don't know shit. You don't. You're ready? Oh, you're ready, bro. You can't even prevent yourself from getting banned in my chat. You can't even. Let's see. Do we? Do one for Jeff gets banned. He gets deported from the chat. 2 for Jeff gets another chance. Because Jeff wants to be a big man. He wants to pretend he knows he's going to stop those communists. He's never done shit to stop communists. People like Jeff have never done shit to fight this ideology in their lives. 1 in the chat for ban him, 2 in the chat for he can stay. It's pretty close. Like I care? Oh, guys, Jeff doesn't care. Should we start again? Now Jeff has told us. Now Jeff is, I don't even care if you ban me because I'm a big man. I'm going to stop all the communists myself. Let's do another vote. 1 in the chat for ban Jeff, 2 in the chat for he can stay. This is a new vote. If you already voted once, you got to vote again. Jeff has just told you he doesn't give a fuck if he's banned or not. Is this the type of person you want in our community that doesn't give a fuck? Yeah, Jeff, unfortunately for you, bro, I'm seeing a lot more ones than I did before, and you can blame yourself for that, bro, because you were about to get a reprieve. You were about to get a stay of your execution. And now because you just kept running your mouth like the needle dick know nothing that you are, you're getting permanently banned in my chat. Very sorry, Jeff. Very sorry. Hey, thanks, 2 ladies. Jeff, it took me 1.5 years before I learned the language. 2 ladies, you've got to stop. You've got to start learning that you literally cannot argue with retards. You can't. You can't argue with retards. So, Jeff, you're getting banned, and when I find your name, I will be banning you, and you can go somewhere else. Let's listen.
We need to reject the Draper mini-sect idea that sects are a diversion from mass struggle or mass party. We need to reject the broad party idea. There are many on the left who believe that the key strategic thing that revolutionaries need to do right now is to build a mass labor party or other broad party. This is wrong, because there may or may not be a mass labor party before a revolution. The broad party idea leads to the absorption of revolutionary politics into opportunism. As Mick Armstrong, who wrote the book From Little Things to Big Things Grow, put it, when revolutionaries enter political parties that are not explicitly revolutionary, they are pulled over time towards reformism. The fundamental politics of the organization they join and therefore advocate for begins to shape their politics. Revolutionaries operating within a reformist party would be under even greater pressure if they...
Here he is again. Here he is again. Steve Lee, everyone's got to refocus. Steve Lee is again shitting on reformers because, again, there was a struggle session with the reformers the day before. And now Steve Lee is basically saying, we can't have reformers as part of our revolutionary party. We need to make sure we're really clear. You reformers who want to run in elections, you are not welcome here.
As Mick Armstrong, who wrote the book From Little Things to Big Things Grow, put it, when revolutionaries enter political parties that are not explicitly revolutionary, they are pulled over time towards reformism. The fundamental politics of the organization they join and therefore advocate for begins to shape their politics. Revolutionaries operating within a reformist party would be under even greater pressure if they did not organize separately within the broader organization. If they are not recruiting to their revolutionary faction, they will be pulled even faster towards the politics of reformist organization. If they do recruit to the revolutionary faction, they will be likely forced out of the reformist party to stay in and have toned down their politics. We saw this clearly in the militant tendency in Britain. It joined the Labour Party in the late 40s. By the late 80s, it had adopted softness on British imperialism, the police, and the capitalist state. This was in spite of the fact that they maintained their own separate organization within the Labor Party. Examples today include the LCR dissolving into the new anti-capitalist party in France, the broad party Podemos in Spain, Syriza in Greece, and here I would argue DSA in the US.
Yes, the DSA, he argued that the DSA is part of the problem. You guys just hear that? We'll rewind it real quick. Prita says, so these guys want to create a separate party from the RCA. These guys are not involved in the RCA. This is what I was trying to tell you. You guys think there's just one group of people on the left. There's not. There are hundreds of groups on the far left, some with more people than others. No one at this conference is involved in the Revolutionary Communists of America. No one at this conference likes the Revolutionary Communists of America. They don't want to work with them. They don't want to be on the same team. A lot of the people at this conference have fundamentally different beliefs, especially about queer ideology, than the Revolutionary Communists of America. They're completely separate groups. This has nothing to do with them. You stop looking at the left as like one big happy family, because they are not at all. Is this really the most important thing that you want to know, why his nose is red? I don't know that you're smart enough to be here. Ask a better fucking question. Listen.
France, the broad party Podemos in Spain, Syriza in Greece, and here I would argue DSA in the US.
No, they're not arguing the DSAs are classical liberals. That's not the issue. As I explained earlier, the DSA wants to participate in elections. These guys do not want to participate in elections. That is the difference. It has nothing to do with classical liberal, nothing. The DSA wants to participate in elections. These guys do not. They just want the violent overthrow of the government. Yes, there are queer Marxists in this group.
Another strategy put forward by some on the left is implantation. That is, sending Marxists into key strategic industry. Of course, in a revolutionary situation, revolutionaries need to be rooted in all sections of the working class. However, in order to get to that point, the key is to build a mass party, and before that, as large a revolutionary organization as possible. The mass party will pull in working class from all sectors. So the strategic task today is to build revolutionary organization and to grow in quantity and quality, to build cadre. Implantation misses the opportunity to build as broadly as possible by focusing on those less recruitable now instead of those more recruitable, by diverting resources from the most to the least recruitable. We need to reject mutual aid. We are not for sharing poverty, but for fighting to take back the wealth that the working class has already created. We need to have a united front approach with clear politics, but working in coalition and intervening in movements. So where do we find the potential cadre for the future Revolutionary Party? Our premise in Firebrand is that there are thousands of people open to and becoming Marxists in the
So this is actually this is an interesting thing about this conference. They didn't talk about this a lot, but Steve Lee specifically pushed this a couple times. I don't know that everyone agrees with Steve Lee on this, but the idea of rejecting mutual aid, the reason they're saying that is because they believe that mutual aid is, or I shouldn't even say they, because again, this is a Steve Lee thing. This is not necessarily a general commie thing that we saw at this conference, but he brought it up a couple times. Steve Lee sees mutual aid as a form of charity, and he thinks it's just about basically sharing in the poverty. And so he doesn't like that. He doesn't like the idea of funding via mutual aid. Now, he doesn't present any sort of like alternative to it. So I don't know. It's kind of like a weird thing, but I don't want to give the impression that the whole rejecting a mutual aid is a general argument on the left, because this is honestly the first time I've ever heard it, and it's mostly just pushed by this one guy. So it's like, this is one of those things where anytime you have kind of like a radical political group, and every single one of you has seen this in your lives at some point, it's like you always have that one guy who's really into this, and he gets some weird ideas about how all this should work. It's not necessarily representative of the entire group or even like the community as a whole. It's just like he's really into this and he's got some crazy ideas. So that's kind of the explanation I have for it. Again, I have not heard this argument ever on a broader level. So that's my position right now, is this is just kind of like a quirky thing that is basically going on in Steve Lee's brain.
U.S. today. Where can they be found? They can be found among those who are radicalizing against the horrors of capitalism, around Palestine, around climate, around oppression, etc. The social movements, people in the social movements are rejecting already aspects of capitalism. They are therefore open to rejecting all of capitalism. As the article in Firebrand in Defense of Revolutionary Organization puts it, we need to go where the struggle is. We need to build on the rebellious elements in working class consciousness and try to win the best fighters to a Marxist perspective. The forefront of class struggle today is in social movements, where people are coming into motion over political issues. The people most open to Marxism will be found in those movements. And there is not yet another layer that is overlapping with that layer of activists and movements. And that is people who are just radicalizing on their own, turning to Marxism because of the horrors of capitalism, even if they haven't become activists yet. This means putting a premium on publicity and raising the profile of the revolutionary organization. Economic struggles are obviously important because socialism is the self-emancipation of the working class, the overcoming of exploitation. However, for immediate purposes, it is economic struggles.
All right, I'm going to be about as clear as I can be. I'm going to tell you guys what I do not want to see in the chat for the entire rest of the fucking presentation. There's no way they can win. This guy's not fighting anyone. We have the guns and they're not going to do it. And they're a bunch of soy boy liberals and we're going to kick their... I don't want to fucking hear it. I don't want to fucking hear it. I don't want to fucking hear it. Do you want to know why? Because they're winning and you're losing because you don't do shit. People like you don't do shit. It's like the guy we blocked earlier. It's like, they're never gonna beat us. We got all the guns. We're ready for them. You guys don't do fucking shit. All you do is posture online behind anonymous accounts. And you go, they're not gonna beat us. These guys are organizing every single day about how to have the revolution in this country. These guys are actually coming up with strategic plans about how to overthrow the fucking government. They're having entire fucking conferences about it while right-wingers are hiding behind anonymous accounts on fucking YouTube and Twitter going, we've got all the guns. We're gonna show them. Commies don't stand a chance. And in the meantime, these guys have taken over every college and university. They've taken over every public school. They've taken over every media organization. They've taken over entertainment. They control everything that is on mainstream fucking media. We're not going to lose to them. Yes, you are. Shut the fuck up. Yes, you are. You are going to lose to Steve Lee. You are going to lose to Steve Lee's friends because you don't shut the fuck up and listen and you just go, they don't stand a chance. We're a bunch of soy boy. Blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up. They're having an entire fucking conference presentation about how they're gonna overthrow the fucking government, and conservatives won't shut the fuck up and listen because they got all the guns, never gonna beat us. They're never gonna take our kids. They've already taken your fucking kids. Your kids are either groypers or they're fucking communists. Your kids are not milquetoast fucking centrists. Your kids are either groypers or communists. And there is no in between. And it's because none of you assholes did anything about it. So shut up. I don't want to hear one more person in this chat the entire rest of the presentation say, we're not going to do that. I don't give a fuck about your feelings or your fucking perception of your own masculinity. None of you have done anything to stop this. How are you going to fight a general strike? Yeah, exactly. They don't even know that a general strike is going to happen. They don't even know what that means. Mutual aid payment. Thanks, OC. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Are important, but less so than the social and political struggles. So what do we do with these people when we find them? We build local groups on clear politics. No to the Democratic Party. No to campism. No to class reductionism. We need a strong emphasis on education. On the
Listen.
It is economic struggles are important, but less so than the social and political struggles.
Economic struggles are important, less so than the social and political ones. They're talking about the cultural models of capitalism.
So what do we do with these people when we find them? We build local groups on clear politics. No to the Democratic Party.
No to the Democratic Party. Is he being clear? All conservatives can do about the left is memes. So true. Again?
We build local groups on clear politics. No to the Democratic Party. We build local groups on clear politics. No to the Democratic Party. We build local groups on clear politics. No to the Democratic Party. We build local groups on clear politics. No to the Democratic Party.
Are we clear? Are we clear? These are not Democrats. They explicitly reject the Democrats. They don't want to work with the Democrats. They don't want to participate with the Democrats. They want the Democrats to go away. They believe the Democrats are no different than the Republicans. Are they being clear?
No to campism. No to class reductionism. We need a strong emphasis on education, on the Marxist basics, and applying those basics to the issues of the day. Why do we need clear politics? Because the pull of bourgeois and reformist politics is strong. As Marx said, the ruling ideas of any age are the ideas of the ruling class. We need to stand firm.
Bourgeois is capitalist politics, reformist politics are socialists getting elected to office. Those are the things he's specifically rejecting. Jen, thanks for the super chat. His theory, at least to him and yes, others, is probably good on paper, but not in practice. Similar to the Communist Manifesto, good on paper, not in practice, and that of Karl Marx's ideology. Well, generally speaking, Jen, that is correct. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Or as Lenin put it, without revolutionary theory, there is no revolutionary movement. The struggle now and in the future will present choices to the movement. We need to have clear answers.
Hang on. Peter, I feel like you haven't been listening to a thing I've said. It seems like the DSA types are significantly more effective because they actually win elections and have political power. First of all, Peter, this is not the RevComs. So your entire chat is wrong. Your entire chat is wrong for so many reasons. First of all, these are not the RevComs. The RevComs are a very specific group on the far left that no one pays attention to. And I know that you know who they are because literally no one calls these people the RevComs except people who have been listening to James Lindsay or have some other stupid bullshit idea because they haven't actually been paying attention. The RevComs are a proper name for a specific group. These are not the RevComs. This is the Seattle Revolutionary Socialists, the Denver Communists, the New York Communists, the Boston Revolutionary Socialists. They formed a collective group called the Firebrand Collective. There are other groups involved in it as well. This is also another group called Socialist Horizon, which is working with the Firebrand Collective. So let's be really specific about what we're talking about. The other thing that you don't seem to have heard me say 19 ways from Sunday already in this presentation, these people do not run in elections. They do not envision the revolution happening via an election. They want the revolution to happen via violent overthrow of the government. Why would a group of people who don't believe elections are going to work, don't believe elections are going to get them the result they want, why would a group of people run in elections? Why would you even think they care about political power at all? They want the violent overthrow of the government. They believe this. Steve Lee has already said this in the presentation. He believes elections are a complete fuck off waste of time. Peter, do you understand? Yes or no in the chat now, please. And if anyone else has questions about this, you need to ask them. No, not what I asked. Not what I said to you. Do you understand what I just said? Yes or no? I don't care about your opinion here. You are in my classroom. I am not in yours. No one gives a fuck off what you have to say about it. Do you understand what I am saying? Yes or no? If you say anything yes or other than yes or no, Peter, you're going to be permanently banned in the chat. So don't do that. They hate the cops. They don't work with the cops. They want to abolish the police. This is why I'm fucking losing my mind. Conservative retards don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and they still don't fucking listen. Peter, do you understand what I'm talking about? Yes or no in the chat. Now you have 30 seconds to answer. Okay, Peter didn't listen to me and didn't answer, and now Peter is going to get himself permanently banned in the chat because he didn't listen to me and he didn't answer the question I asked him. Moving on.
For the movement of going forward or backward. This means an emphasis on polemics. We need to argue with other people on the left. We need a united front for joint activity, but we also need ideological struggle and should not shy away from it. We need to build cadre through intervention in social and labor struggles, as well as through Marxist education. Marx's aphorism that it is not consciousness that determines social being, but social being that determines consciousness applies to the revolutionary organization as well. The way to solidify socialist consciousness is through socialist action. Socialist action is best carried out by building socialist organization. The action that organization members engage in is trying to win others to Marxism by writing, speaking, organizing, distributing socialist literature, etc. They change their being and entrench their revolutionary consciousness. The way to build to be a revolutionary is to try to win others to support socialist organization and therefore membership in socialist organization. We need to connect up nationally and internationally to have the biggest influence. We need to recruit people primarily based on Marxist politics and activity. We need interventionist propaganda groups who are organized for intervention in movements to find and develop cadre and to influence those movements. However, we should not pretend to be the embryo of the Vanguard Party. Instead, we are today building cadre for that future party. We don't try to act as a revolutionary socialist vanguard party when we're not, because that leads to reform, to opportunism. As Mick Armstrong put it, one of the key reasons why so many small revolutionary groups come to grief is that they overestimated their own capabilities and greatly exaggerated their ability to influence struggles or campaigns. All too often, they attempted to leap over the stage of development dictated by the balance of forces between bosses and workers and the limitations imposed by their own small size. They were too impatient. Similarly, small groups of socialists who declare themselves to be parties are deluding themselves. Because of their small size, they remain propaganda groups, whatever they think they are. But they are confused propaganda groups and therefore a lot less effective than they could be. Finally, there is an urgent necessity to build the Revolutionary Socialist Vanguard Party as soon as possible. However, necessity does not always create immediate possibility. Instead of pretending to be something we are not, instead of trying to leap over our shadow, we need to take a small, sober, and realistic steps to build towards a revolutionary socialist vanguard party by building clear Marxist organization now. Everyone who sees that necessity should do what they can. Now this means joining or forming clear Marxist organizations and connecting up nationally and internationally. We will be.
Hang on. It's a question. You've mentioned many times that Marxists, Leninists, and Stalinists are against each other. Is there any evidence which of the two make up the majority of revolutionaries? The majority of revolutionaries are Marxists, Leninists that want to recreate the Bolshevik revolution in the country. The reason I say that is because we watch many presentations from many different groups, and the majority of the presentations we watch are Marxist, Leninists who explicitly reject Stalin, explicitly reject Mao. So the idea that this has anything to do with China is a conservative bullshit narrative. The majority of socialists reject China. They believe China is a capitalist country. Mao is in the tradition of Stalin, so they specifically reject him. The evidence comes in the form of the presentations that they post on their YouTube channels or otherwise do in conferences just like this. You've already heard Steve Lee talk about the Bolshevik Revolution on more than one occasion. Most of the education that happens in the far left communities is around the Russian Revolution. That's what they're trying to recreate, and the evidence is all over their YouTube channels if you want to go and find it.
Glad to discuss the record of fire.
That's not to say that we never run into people who embrace Stalin and Mao. We do. It's just not, it's not the majority. It's not even close to the majority.
Firebrand in trying to carry out this perspective. Firebrand members can raise this in discussion. Thank you very much. Looking forward to a great conference.
Recording stopped.
Recording stopped.
Thank you, comrade. Let's move on to Tom.
Tom!
Hi, good morning or
Hi,
good
Tom.
day, wherever you happen to be around the world.
Hi.
I'm very happy to be participating in this. My name is Tom Alter. I'm a member of Socialist Horizon.
Recording in progress.
Say it again. My name is Tom Alter. I'm a member of Socialist Horizon in San Marcos, Texas, and also a member of the Texas State Employees Union, affiliated with the CWA.
The CWA has been one of the main unions that's been fighting for Tom Alter's reinstatement. The Texas State Employees Union has also been fighting. They're both affiliated. They're both basically the same thing. There have been a bunch of different unions throughout Texas that have been has been in fighting for his reinstatement. And again, this is now full context of everything Tom said as it happened.
So, as many of the speakers and participants in this conference have stated, U.S. capitalism is in crisis, a crisis faced also by capitalists and nations across the earth. Capitalists' unquenchable thirst for profit has led them to attack workers' standards of living at home and put them in conflict with rival capitalists abroad. The working class in the United States feels this in our daily lives. The high price of groceries, soaring rents and mortgages, lack of health care, crumbling public infrastructure, an education system that, despite the efforts of teachers, serves more as daycare for workers' children than fostering learning, and environmental destruction. All these conditions contribute to a growing mental health crisis. Globally, we see U.S. capital coming into increasingly conflict with rival imperialist powers, also seeking to maintain their profits, not just by exploiting the working class they rule over, but by seeking additional markets, resources, and labor pools beyond their national borders. Crisis is a regular feature of capitalism. What makes the current crisis an extra problem for capitalists is the willingness of people to fight back. You could argue that we have been in a prolonged period of resistance, dating back.
The willingness of people to fight back. Tom Alter believes that the willingness of people to fight back is a primary challenge in overcoming capitalism. And as a reminder, when communists and socialists say capitalism, one of the things they define as capitalism is the United States government, is the Constitution. Do I believe in capitalism? Well, you can pay me money for a super chat if you want a full answer to that. But what I will say is your definition of capitalism and their definition of capitalism is not the same thing. Do you understand what his definition of capitalism is? I just answered a question for you for free. Now you're going to answer this question in the chat. Do you understand what his definition of capitalism is? And do you understand how it is different than your definition of capitalism? So you aren't even talking about the same fucking thing. No. Exactly my point. So why are you asking me about what I believe about anything when you should be asking, what does he believe? That is the point of this exercise. Do you want to go ahead and ask that question for me? You don't know what he believes. Are you curious about what he believes? No, I don't give a fuck. I don't get, no. You asked about me. What I think has no fucking relevance to this. What I think, you're not trying to learn if you're asking okay, you are curious what he believes. He believes that capitalism is defined as private property ownership. That means your ability to own a home, your ability to own land, your ability to own an apartment rental that you rent out as a landlord, your ability to own intellectual property, your ability to own a private business, whether or not that private business is big or small. He also believes that parental rights over your kids are a form of private property because it allows for the passing of generational wealth from parent to child. That is what he believes. Those things are all bourgeois property, things that can allow for the private accumulation of wealth that is not available to the general public. That is fundamentally different than, I promise you, what your definition of capitalism is, which has nothing to do with this discussion. So I'm not sure why you're even bringing it up. When he is talking about capitalism, he means private property ownership. And that is all that matters on Socialism Saturday. If you have a personal question about me, you can pay me money in the form of a super chat. And that super chat better be at least 2 digits, not just a fucking $2 super chat, because I'm going to ignore it and take your money anyway. Okay? I don't like it when you guys do this stuff. This has no relevance to what we're doing. You're coming into my classroom and bringing up things that have nothing to do with the presentation. Now, back to this. The reason that they are talking about, the reason that people like Tom Alter believes that abolishing capitalism means abolishing the US government and abolishing the Constitution is they believe the United States government was built on capitalism in order to protect the capitalist class, and that the US Constitution was also built on capitalism to protect the private property of the capitalist bourgeois class. They do not believe that they can overthrow capitalism until they abolish both of those things. Thank you for the super chat, Micah. I do appreciate it. Mutual aid. Awesome. Now listen.
To December of 2010 with the overlapping protests of the pro-democracy movement of the Arab Spring, the Wisconsin protest of 2011 going into Occupy Wall Street, the 2012 Chicago Teachers Union strike, followed by more teachers' strikes across the country, the Indigenous Peoples fight against the Dakota Access Pipeline, Black Lives Matter, trans liberation, Cop City, the protest against it, and a general uptick in labor union struggles. We see this resistance currently in the hotel workers on strike in Houston, the United Auto Workers on strike against GE Aerospace in Ohio, and the ongoing resistance of the Palestinian people. Through these struggles, more and more people see capitalism to blame and are open to socialist ideas. Despite the continued resistance of working people in confronting racism, sexism, transphobia, and increasing wealth and inequality, the basic underpinnings of capitalism have not been broken. In facing the crisis of capitalism, what the working class is dealing with is a crisis of organization and confidence. While there is a willingness to fight, knowing the most effective ways to fight and having confidence in our—
Yeah, well, maybe you should tell Trump that. Maybe you should tell Trump to do something about that, because I can't fucking arrest them. I'm not the police. I'm not a politician. I can't make that fucking decision. I believe they should be arrested, but I can't make that fucking decision. Why don't you go tell Harmeet Dillon that? Harmeet Dillon, who I sent this video and who told me she cared more about my use of capital letters. Your beef is with the fucking Trump administration. It's not with anyone here. If you actually want to learn, what you need to do is shut the fuck up and listen. I'm getting really sick of the bullshit in the chat tonight. I swear to God. Like, I'm literally delivering you guys a never-before-seen presentation in which communists are calling to overthrow the government, and the amount of conservative retard bullshit that's been happening in the chat tonight is blowing my fucking mind. Listen to what is being said. If you cannot sit back and listen to what's being said and ask thoughtful questions about what is being said in the presentation, you really don't belong here. This is a classroom. I am the teacher. You are not.
Ourselves and the working class as a whole is vital. I agree with and second Steve in understanding the need for and calling for a revolutionary socialist party. This is what we have been missing during this period of capitalist crisis and working class resistance. We are in different conditions to organize than 20 or even 10 years ago. Workers, especially young people, have been through a lot. During this time, we have gone through the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, accelerating climate change with destructive weather, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, the Great Recession, after which the economy has never been the same, increased police brutality, especially against people of color, crippling student debt, the loss of reproductive rights, attacks on queer people, the pandemic, soaring inflation, the rise of the far right around the world, and an ongoing genocide in Palestine. It doesn't take that much to convince people that capitalism, a system based on profit that disregards life and the environment, is to blame. And most importantly, in the past 10 years,
capitalism is literally to blame for every single problem in the world. He listed off a whole bunch of problems, from Palestine to environment to queer stuff to this to that to the other thing. Capitalism is responsible for all of it. I want to see exactly 0 more comments about anyone's appearance. No, you cannot make comments like that. I swear to, like, in fact, you're going in a 5-minute timeout for even suggesting that. I want oh my fucking God. I want 0 comments about anyone's appearance. I want 0 comments that have nothing to do with this presentation. I want 0 comments about, we're going to stop them and they don't know what they're up against. I want 0 more retard shit in my chat. I'm just going to start banning people. Like, honestly. In communist countries like Russia, there are some who have, that's Stalin. What you're talking about is Stalin. And it's okay to ask this question. You're asking a question in good faith. In communist countries like Russia, there's someone who has wealth and power. You're talking about Stalin. So these people explicitly reject Stalin. That they believe that Stalin created hierarchy, and therefore, like, he was basically everything that was wrong and bad.
We have seen a rise of working class consciousness. In organizing today, I rarely have a conversation where I need to convince someone that capitalism is the root of our problems. This was not the case in the 1990s, in the early 2000s. Then people would be outraged and protest against racism, sexism, police brutality, war. However, seeing these as a product of capitalism often resulted in some pushback or open debate. This was still part of the post-World War II era.
Does everyone understand that these people believe that capitalism creates literally all problems? Does anyone have, we're going to listen to this again, because I think that people have not been listening. He listed off a whole bunch of problems, and then he said capitalism is to blame for all of these problems. I need people to listen to what is being said, and if you have questions about how did capitalism cause that, I need you to answer the questions. We do not debunk on this show. Hierarchy is inevitable. No one fucking cares about your opinion. We do not debunk. Keep your comments to your, do me a favor, bro. Do me a favor. Go up to Tom Alter and go, excuse me, Tom, do you know that hierarchy is inevitable? Okay. And you're still going to be a socialist, even though you know hierarchy is inevitable. And you see if that changes any fucking problems. I told you not to debunk at the beginning of the presentation. Your job is to listen and to ask questions. It is not to teach anyone anything. Listen again.
Especially young people, have been through a lot. During this time, we have gone through the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, accelerating climate change with destructive weather, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, the Great Recession, after which the economy has never been the same, increased police brutality, especially against people of color, crippling student debt, the loss of reproductive rights, attacks on queer people, the pandemic, soaring inflation, the rise of the far right around the world, and an ongoing genocide in Palestine. It doesn't take that much to convince people that capitalism...
Yes. Can I learn more about why they believe capitalism causes severe climate destruction? They believe that businesses only make decisions based on profit and not based on what they're doing to the environment. And they believe that the decisions that businesses have made in the pursuit of profit have directly caused climate change. And they believe that unless they overthrow capitalism, because capitalism has caused climate change by putting profits over the planet and all that stuff, they believe that they literally believe that everyone is going to die as a result of capitalism. We watched a presentation probably a couple months ago called Revolution or Die for Socialism Saturday. I would go back and watch that, because that is an explicit presentation about how capitalism has caused climate change. And if they don't overthrow capitalism, they believe that everyone on the planet is literally going to die. But it's the pursuit of profit, which creates hierarchy, which creates destruction and all of that stuff. That's a good question.
A system based on profit that disregards life and the environment is to blame.
See?
And most importantly, in the past 10 years, we have seen a rise of working class consciousness. In organizing today, I rarely have a conversation where I need to convince someone that capitalism is the root of our problems.
Yo, Caden with the $50 super chat. Thanks, Dr. B. From the Marxist utopia of Northern Virginia, 4 counties call results over 96 counties. Yeah, Virginia is some other problem, Kate, but I really do appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much for your generosity.
This was not the case in the 1990s and the early 2000s. Then people would be outraged and protest against racism, sexism, police brutality, war. However, seeing these as a product of capitalism often resulted in some pushback or open debate. This was still part of the post-World War II era when most Americans considered themselves middle class or had middle class aspirations of the so-called American dream. These middle class aspirations are gone. The American dream is now a nightmare. As I said, people today get that capitalism is literally killing us, especially people under 30, where the world I described is all they have known.
Capitalism is literally killing us. If we don't overthrow capitalism, we're all going to die. Does it, again, for anyone who thinks that I cut Tom Alter out of context, does this sound like someone who does not want to overthrow does this sound like a theoretical conversation? 1 in the chat if you guys think this sounds like a theoretical conversation. 2 in the chat if you think Tom Alter is saying, if we don't do something about capitalism, we are all literally going to die. Listen to what he said again. He said this a couple times.
Aspirations are gone. The American dream is now a nightmare. As I said, people today get that capitalism is literally killing us, especially people under 30.
Capitalism is literally killing us. There is no American dream. There is no hope. If we don't overthrow capitalism, we're all going to die. This is not a theoretical conversation. This is what they believe. He believes that he is going to die, that his friends are going to die, that his family is going to die, that everyone he loves is going to die if we literally don't overthrow capitalism.
Well, the world I described is all they have known. Anti-capitalist sentiments are so prevalent that sections of the capitalist class resorted to right-wing or demagogic-based populism. This is represented in Trump, who has harnessed the real economic anxieties and fears felt by countless Americans and directed it towards scapegoating of immigrants, America First policies, and hatred of liberal institutions who have no solutions to the crisis of capitalism, as they are part of the problem. I've seen videos of reporters at Trump rallies who ask people why they support Trump. One rally participant said he supported Trump because Trump is against communists. When this person was asked who the communists are, he replied that communists are, quote, big pharma, the giant pharmaceutical companies who control the government.
So I just want to point this out. This is not the only time at this conference where the communists at this conference literally shit-talked conservatives for not knowing who the communists were. This happens all the time on the left. Because the conservatives are so unhinged from reality when it comes to who the left is, and they're unhinged from reality because their influencers and their politicians lie to them, he's dunking on conservatives to say, you guys don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. And the reason that, and he's right about that, by the way. He's absolutely right. I cringe when I see the videos of conservatives talking about communism. Even yesterday, we were watching the House debate whether or not to denounce socialism. None of them had any idea what they were talking about when it comes to real communism and socialism. None of them. Not in the United States right now. And so communists actually dunk on conservatives all the time because they're like, those fucking retards don't even know what we're doing. And they're right.
Was asked who the communists are, he replied that communists are, quote, big pharma, the giant pharmaceutical companies who control the government. Unknowingly, this person described not communism, but capitalism.
Yep.
This is yet another reason why we need a mass revolutionary party to win over people who see that giant corporations control the government, but have been misled by rightists like Trump. Now, at this moment, I do not advocate focusing or organizing at Trump rallies. Many people are very open to socialism without getting it confused with giant corporations. They understand that socialism as a system that provides for the basic needs of working class people in food, housing, healthcare, and education in opposition to the capitalist system and its focus on individual wealth accumulation to the detriment of the working class and the environment. This is who we need to start organizing into a revolutionary party. The question is, how do we achieve socialism? During the past few years in the United States, only a precious few have been in revolutionary socialist organizations based in the working class. Most of us revolutionary socialists have been isolated and through the ringer in terms of organizing.
Most of us revolutionary socialists have been isolated, and we've all been through the ringer. Tom Alter is literally describing himself as a revolutionary socialist. He's including him in that sphere. Listen again.
Years in the United States, only a precious few have been in revolutionary socialist organizations based in the working class. Most of us revolutionary socialists have been isolated and through the ringer in terms of organizing. I can speak to this myself, and I'm sure my experiences are similar to many others. In the absence of a nationwide revolutionary socialist party organization built on the principle of putting the working class in power, those working for socialism have done so through different and at times overlapping avenues. The largest socialist organization in the United States, the Democratic Socialist of America, and its youth wing, the YDSA, is mainly working within the Democratic Party, attempting to change it from the inside. Others have engaged in what they call mutual aid, coming from the anarchist tradition, while recently others are organizing a more direct action focused insurrectionary anarchism. And lastly, there are socialist organizations who practice a top-down style of organization, looking to China, North Korea, and undemocratic bourgeois nationalist governments who stand in opposition to U.S. imperialism.
See, so he's telling you there, he just shit-talked China. He said, China's not doing socialism. China's doing top-down fucking hierarchy capitalism. Like, that's not what he's talking about, okay? Listen again.
Anarchism. And lastly, there are socialist organizations who practice a top-down style of organization, looking to China, North Korea, and undemocratic bourgeois nationalist governments who stand in opposition to U.S. imperialism, some of whom have their own imperialist ambitions. These groups follow the Maoist and Stalinist traditions. I will briefly discuss each of these forms of socialist organizations. What they all have in common is that they do not have faith in the working class to organize itself or to put the working class in power. These are all in stark contrast to Firebrand, Socialist Horizon, and the International Socialist League, who are seeking to build a working class-based revolutionary socialist party that puts the working class in power. What the DSA is attempting by working within the Democratic Party follows a nearly 200 years old project that began in the 1830s.
He's shit-talking
the DSA. It is more than
DSA.
past time to consider this a failed project. The Democratic Party is...
He's saying the DSA is working within the Democratic Party. We've been trying this shit for 200 years. It hasn't worked. Can we please consider the DSA and the Democratic Party to be a failed project? This is him shit-talking the DSA and Zoran Mandami.
Old project that began in the 1830s.
Yeah.
It is the working class in power. What the DSA is attempting by working within the Democratic Party follows a nearly 200 years old project that began in the 1830s.
I'm gonna get a drink.
It is more than past time to consider this a failed project. The Democratic Party is and remains a thoroughly capitalist party.
Oh!
Even with a recently reinvigorated DSA with tens of thousands of members, the Democratic Party has not budged.
Oh!
In fact, it has moved further to the right. Even candidates who the DSA proudly claim to have helped.
The Democratic Party has moved further to the right. They literally think the Democratic Party is no different than the Republican Party.
More than past time to consider this a failed project. The Democratic Party is and remains a thoroughly capitalist party. Even with a recently reinvigorated DSA with tens of thousands of members, the Democratic Party has not budged. In fact, it has moved further to the right. Even candidates who the DSA proudly claim to have helped elect, like the Democratic mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, are not leading in the interest of the working class. As this conference is going on, Trump has moved National Guard troops into Chicago. Johnson has spoken out loudly against Trump's action, but where are Johnson's actions? A socialist mayor backed by a socialist party would be actively working with labor unions to shut the entire city of Chicago down in a general strike while organizing workers' defense guards. Again, we do see working class people in Chicago acting on their own interest, but not having a revolutionary party. So instead, Johnson leads symbolic Labor Day march past a Target store and a Tesla dealership. Johnson, like his Democratic counterpart in Washington, D.C., issue fiery rhetoric while capitulating to occupation. This goes along with the Democratic Party nationally doing nothing in action to stop the ICE raids terrorizing working class communities across the country. Why would the Democrats do anything to stop ICE? After all, the Biden administration provided record amounts of funding to ICE and the Border Patrol. And we all know where the Democratic Party stands in relation to a free Palestine. No socialist should have any relationship with the Democratic Party or an organization that works within the Democratic Party.
No socialist should have any relation to the Democratic Party or any organization that works within the Democratic Party, by which he is specifically saying the DSA and Zoran Mandami and all of the people that are trying to get elected to office as Democrats because they're trying to work within the Democratic Party. You can't get more explicit than this. They do not work with the Democratic Party. They don't like the Democratic Party. They don't want other people to work with the Democratic Party. They're shit-talking the DSA for working with the Democratic Party. They did not vote for Kamala Harris. They did not vote for Joe Biden. They did not vote for Barack Obama. This has nothing to do with the Democrats. Yeah, I hope new people are listening too. Do you guys know, for all the new people, do you know we literally have hundreds of clips like this? I need to make a whole page someday of like all the clips we have of communists basically saying fuck the Democratic Party, because we have entire presentations of communists saying fuck the Democrats, fuck the Democrats, fuck the Democrats, shit talking the Democrats. Like it's like it could not be more clear that they do not want to work with the Democrats. Effectual insurrection over on Rumble with the Rumble rant. Appreciate it. Green New Scam was actually first portrayed and sold by the Nazis in Germany. Funny they pushed Nazi-rooted propaganda and claimed to hate fascists. This Tom mofo deserves to stay fired. He's a terrorist. Well, thank you for that, Effectual Insurrection. I do appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Blue, I just want to apologize for the disruption. I don't think that this is the place for me, but I hope nothing but the best for y'all later, folks. Yes, if you're going to be commenting on people's looks, it is not the place for you. But the good news is, bro, you are Canadian. And so I do appreciate the money, but we are Americans here. So it's all good, bro. Go somewhere else that you're going to own the libs and dunk on the libs and have all the fun in the world, and we appreciate it. But we're Americans, and so no offense, but go back to Canada. But thanks for the $5. I do appreciate it. As long as you're not being disruptive, that's totally cool. Hey, Janet with the $20 super chat. Thank you. Thank you. Another look at capitalism in the U.S. Well, I think the slippery slope started back in 1933. Yeah, roundabout. When the gold standard died in the USA and our inflation began to rise. 92 years later, here we are. You might not be wrong about that, Shin. You might not be wrong. Thank you.
You are not just using a Democratic ballot line. You are being used to provide left cover for a party of mass incarceration at home and genocide abroad. Seeing the limits and pitfalls of electoral politics, some socialists have turned to more local community-based.
Hang on, I want to go back. I want to play the part about the Democratic Party again, just to make sure people really heard it.
Raids terrorizing working class communities across the country. Why would the Democrats do anything to stop ICE? After all, the Biden administration provided record amounts of funding to ICE and the Border Patrol. And we all know where the Democratic Party stands in relation to a free Palestine. No socialist should have any relationship with the Democratic Party or an organization that works within the Democratic Party. You are not just using a Democratic ballot line, you are being used to provide left cover for a party of mass incarceration at home and genocide abroad. Seeing the limits and pitfalls of electoral politics, some socialists have turned to more local community-based projects engaging in what they call mutual aid. Mutual aid has a long tradition within the labor movement.
That's right. Tom Alter is not necessarily a fan of mutual aid either. I think he talks a little bit more about why him and Steve don't like mutual aid.
Workers, primarily in unions, assisted fellow members while sick, in pain, and helping pay for funerals. However, what most activists today are calling mutual aid is actually charity. This is seen in food drives, disaster assistance, and blankets for the homeless. This is all noble work, and I will never discourage someone from helping those in need. But charity cloaked as mutual aid is not going to end capitalism.
Bang.
Another strain of anarchism gaining ground recently is that of insurrectionary anarchism, primarily coming out of those that were involved in the Cop City protest. These groups and individuals have grown rightfully frustrated with symbolic protests that do not disrupt the normal functioning of government and business. They call for more direct action and shutting down the military-industrial complex and preventing ICE from kidnapping members of their communities. Many insurrectionary anarchists are also serving jail time, lost jobs, and face expulsion from school. They have truly put their bodies on the line. While their actions are laudable, it should be asked to what purpose do they serve? As anarchists, these insurrectionists explicitly reject the formation of a revolutionary party capable of leading the working class to power. Without organization, how can anyone expect to overthrow the most bloodthirsty, profit-driven mad organization in the history of the world, that of the U.S. government?
There it is.
2 minutes, comrade.
Thank you.
There it is. There it is. That is the part that got Tom Alter fired. Right there. Now, we're going to go back here. What Tom Alter is talking about is he's going through all the different types of groups that exist on the left, and he's saying these are the different tactics that we're talking about. He's talking specifically about what he calls insurrectionary anarchists, which you might think of Antifa, like he's talking about Antifa there. Like Tom Alter's not in Antifa. I hope people understand the difference. Tom Alter is not in Antifa. Tom Alter does not believe that Antifa is actually productive because, and he says it, he's like, it's not the violence and the insurrection that he's opposed to. He's like, it's just a lack of organization. These fucking retards don't want to get organized to actually do anything. And so they might be setting fire to things, and they might be throwing Molotov cocktails, and they might be causing chaos and disturbance. But that's not going to lead to us being successful in our goal of overthrowing the government. So he's being critical of insurrectionary anarchists, not because they're engaging in violence, not because they're engaging in unlawful behavior and destruction, but because he doesn't think their tactics are ever going to lead to the outcomes that he wants, which is the overthrow of the government. So I want everyone to listen again, okay?
Grown rightfully frustrated with symbolic protests, preventing someone from helping those in need. But charity cloaked as mutual aid is not going to end capitalism. Another strain of anarchism gaining ground recently is that of insurrectionary anarchism, primarily coming out of those that were involved in the Cop City protest. These groups and individuals have grown rightfully frustrated with symbolic protests that do not disrupt the normal functioning of government and business. They call for more direct action and shutting down the military-industrial complex and preventing ICE from kidnapping members of their communities. Many insurrectionary anarchists are also serving jail time, lost jobs, and face expulsion from school.
We're going to get the rest of his statement here, but I just want to answer this question because it's a good one. He's probably right, too. Should we be more concerned about these people over anarchists and Antifa? I think we can be concerned about both of them because anarchists and Antifa are going to provide the destabilizing effect that's going to cause the revolution, but these guys are the people that are going to lead the revolution. Like, and I'm not saying Tom Alter specifically him. I'm saying people like him are these are the generals. Think of it this way. These are like the generals of the revolution that are trying to be organized and strategic. Antifa are kind of like, they're like the infantry. It's like they're the ones that are going to go out and fuck shit up and do. But what these guys are hoping is that there's going to become more organization to this, so that the anarchists who are willing to go out and do all that stuff are willing to become a little bit more strategic about what they're doing. His argument is not against Antifa's tactics. His argument is against the lack of organization. He's about to say that specifically.
They have truly put their bodies on the line. While their actions are laudable, it should be asked, to what purpose do they serve? As anarchists, these insurrectionists explicitly reject the formation of a revolutionary party capable of leading the working class to power. Without organization, how can anyone expect to overthrow the most bloodthirsty, profit-driven, mad organization in the history of the world, that of the U.S. government?
Again, Tom Alter is explicitly saying his goal is to overthrow the government, and he's being critical of the more Antifa types who he doesn't have a problem with what they're doing, but he believes that they're not organized enough to actually achieve the goal of overthrowing the U.S. government. Does everyone understand what's going on here? Let's listen again. We're going to be real specific about this because I'm tired of being told that I clipped him out of context. I did not.
Revolutionary anarchists are also serving jail time, lost jobs, and face expulsion from school. They have truly put their bodies on the line. While their actions are laudable, it should be asked, to what purpose do they serve? As anarchists, these insurrectionists explicitly reject the formation of a revolutionary party capable of leading the working class to power. Without organization, how can anyone expect to overthrow the most bloodthirsty, profit-driven, mad organization in the history of the world, that of the U.S. government?
2 minutes, comrade.
Thank you. So, as Steve mentioned, a revolutionary party needs a revolutionary situation for the working class to win power. We are not in that situation now, though it may be coming soon, as the crisis of capitalism only continues to deepen and capitalists look to war and fascism to save their profit system. If we do not build a revolutionary party now, this is surely our future. What we do now is incredibly important. We must educate ourselves and others in Marxism and the history of class struggle. We are by no means just a reading club. Our tasks are laid out in the Communist Manifesto. We must participate.
We are not just a reading club. He's saying explicitly, this is not theoretical. We are not just a reading club. We are following the tasks laid out for us in the Communist Manifesto with the explicit goal of overthrowing the bloodthirsty United States government. Again.
Working class to win power. We are not in that situation now, though it may be coming soon, as the crisis of capitalism only continues to deepen and capitalists look to war and fascism to save their profit system. If we do not build a revolutionary party now, this is surely our future. What we do now is incredibly important. We must educate ourselves and others in Marxism and the history of class struggle. We are by no means just a reading club. Our tasks are laid out in the Communist Manifesto. We must participate in the struggles of our class, whatever they may be, from joining union picket lines to defending trans people. And then, as communists, connect these numerous struggles of our class into a fight against the source of our oppression, capitalism. Through struggle, we can win reforms along the way, giving confidence to our class. This is how we build a mass party. Reforms are not enough, though. If the working class is not in power, those reforms can be lost, as we have seen in recent times. We must build a revolutionary socialist party now, so that when a revolutionary situation arises, the working class has the tools and organization it needs to take power. To conclude, have confidence, build workers' power, be a firebrand for a socialist horizon.
Stunning and brave, Tom.
Thank you.
Stunning and brave.
Recording stopped.
All right. 1 in the chat if you think I cut Tom Alter out of context and he wasn't really talking about overthrowing the government. 2 in the chat if I showed you exactly what he said. And he was talking about organizing to overthrow the government, and every single media outlet that said she selectively edited. I didn't selectively edit shit. That is explicitly what he said. We're just going to go back and listen to it one more time, just for funsies, because, you know, in full context, Tommy boy.
Primarily coming out of those that were involved in the Cop City protest. These groups and individuals have grown rightfully frustrated with symbolic protests that do not disrupt the normal functioning of government and business. They call for more direct action and shutting down the military-industrial complex and preventing ICE from kidnapping members of their communities. Many insurrectionary anarchists are also serving jail time, lost jobs, and face expulsion from school. They have truly put their bodies on the line. While their actions are laudable, it should be asked to what purpose do they serve? As anarchists, these insurrectionists explicitly reject the formation of a revolutionary party capable of leading the working class to power. Without organization, how can anyone expect to overthrow the most bloodthirsty, profit-driven, mad organization in the history of the world, that of the U.S. government?
2 minutes, comrade.
Thank you. So, as Steve mentioned, a revolutionary party needs a revolutionary situation for the working class to win power. We are not in that situation now, though it may be coming soon, as the crisis of capitalism only continues to deepen and capitalists look to war and fascism to save their profit system. If we do not build a revolutionary party now, this is surely our future. What we do now is incredibly important. We must educate ourselves and others in Marxism and the history of class struggle. We are by no means just a reading club. Our tasks are laid out in the Communist Manifesto. We must participate in the struggles of our class, whatever they may be, from joining union picket lines to defending trans people. And then, as communists, connect these numerous struggles of our class into a fight against the source of our oppression, capitalism. Through struggle, we can win reforms along the way, giving confidence to our class. This is how we build a mass party. Reforms are not enough, though. If the working class is not in power, those reforms can be lost, as we have seen in recent times. We must build a revolutionary socialist party now, so that when a revolutionary situation arises, the working class has the tools and organization it needs to take power. To conclude, have confidence, build workers' power, be a firebrand for a socialist horizon.
It is explicit. This is not theoretical. They're not a reading club. They're talking about organizing for the coming revolution in which they are going to try to overthrow the bloodthirsty U.S. government. It was not edited out of context. It was not made to mean something that it didn't mean. He was explicit over and over and over again. And I just want to remind people that not one single Republican politician has spoken out against this guy. Not Harmeet Dillon, the Assistant Attorney General of the United States, who swore to us that she was going to fix colleges all over the country. Not Ken Paxton or Greg Abbott, the governor and the Attorney General in Texas. Not Ted Cruz, who has literally written a book claiming to fight the left. Not any Republican or conservative influencer spoke out against this guy. Not a single fucking one of them. It was explicit from the very beginning. Average person, this is what's so great. Conservatives lie about commies and then they can easily argue their way out. We conversely use their own words against them. Good luck trying to talk your way out of this one, Tommy. Well, he already lost. He lost. We won. Because video does not lie at the end of the day. Moving on.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.
Recording
Thank you,
stopped.
comrade, and excellent timing. Right, before we open the discussion, I suspect that I am not getting messages in the chat. When I open my chat window, I am not seeing anything. I don't know if the admins can make sure my settings are okay so we can resolve that. While they're taking a look at, okay, just got a message from Phil and I do see it. Got a message from John and I do see it. Okay, cool. So looks like, all right. Okay, that's weird. So I'm sorry, I'm operating from a tablet here, and so the stack pops up on my screen, but when I open my chat window, I don't see it. So I can try to run I can try to run stacks by just trying to respond to what's popping up on my screen. Oh, weird. So far I've seen, I think, Susan on stack. Let's start there and see if I can sort it out as we go.
Hang on, this is a good question. And I get this question rather often. Do we know how big this group is? Okay, so what you need to understand is what this group is, it's not just about this one group. What this group is saying is pretty emblematic of what we hear from many groups. And ultimately, it is the goal of Antifa as well. And so it's like, is the Firebrand Collective and Socialist Horizon the biggest group in the world? I don't think they're huge. And by huge, I mean, I think they have hundreds of people involved. I don't think they have thousands of people involved. But the bigger problem is that this is what they all say. This is just one event where they said a lot of the quiet part out loud because they didn't know they were being recorded by me. And this was like a private event. And so like, it's not necessarily about just like the people who were in the room here. It's about, this is the ideology more broadly. This is what Antifa believes. This is what the Revolutionary Communists of America believe. This is what all of the different revolutionary groups believe and advocate for. There are entire conferences talking about this sort of thing. And so we can figure out how many people this group has, but the problem is that we have no idea how many people are on the far left more broadly. We're trying to figure that out right now. We're working on a project to try to map the modern left, but like, it is huge. This is a massive problem. It's much bigger than people think it is. There are many more of these groups than people think. So I appreciate the question. Thank you for the super chat.
Yes, can you hear me?
I also want to make sure people understand too what you're about to see. So at socialist conferences, how it works is, and with this group specifically, so how it works is they have a couple of people do a presentation and then they turn off the recording and they have a discussion about the presentation. Okay. So how socialist conferences work is you have a couple people who are like leading the discussion, but then the rest of the group gets to participate in the discussion. And what really fucked them over is they were recording the presentation parts. They were not recording the discussion parts. Of course, I recorded everything, but they thought that they were just talking to each other. So they had no idea that this was ever going to be made public.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm Susan. I'm building an organization of revolutionary workers
Find it in chat. It's going to be in your private messages. So these are all the private messages.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Susan. That was a...
Okay, sorry. Yes, I'm in Southern Ontario. We're building an organization of revolutionary workers. And for us, economic and social struggles can't be separated because the public sector workers are standing at the forefront of class struggle today in our country. For us, the union establishment are the primary obstacle blocking workers from organizing as a class and settling accounts with their class oppressor and mortal enemy. And you know, this is being shown over and over. The Air Canada strike most recently, Mark Hancock, the head of the union, CUPE, stood in front of thousands of Air Canada workers, rally, a picket, tearing up the government's right to back to work order, tearing it up to loud applause, and then the next day sent them back to work. So he's saying the government isn't going to send you back. I'm going to send you back to work. We saw the same thing in 2022 with the education worker strike. They defied back to work legislation. The leaders of the major unions said that they would organize a general strike if the legislation wasn't rescinded because it basically bypassed the role of the union leadership to negotiate contracts So the government walked that back, rescinded legislation, and then instead of going forward and getting what the education workers had fought for, the union had sent them back to work. So we see this again and again. So the key question that we're facing is how to work with and also against the union establishment. We have to defend them against the attacks of the capitalists, but we also have to side with workers against the bureaucrats who systematically fragment and undermine the wider class struggle. When the Air Canada workers were out, the postal workers who are still hanging after their strike and back to work legislation didn't come out. We're not told to come out. We're not told to build solidarity strikes. We did not mount a general public sector fight, which is needed and which people understand is needed. And periodically, like we saw with Air Canada and the education workers, the workers will escape their bureaucratic control and mount those wildcat strikes, and they will.
Hang on. No. I hear a lot of people saying things, but I don't think they're visualizing the meaning. Wrong. They know what the meaning is. They know what they're saying. Your problem is you don't speak their language. So you don't understand what they're saying. You are projecting your own lack of understanding onto them because you don't understand what they're saying, and therefore you think they don't understand what they're saying. What you need to really understand is they understand what they are saying. Once you learn how to speak, it is very clear to me what they're saying. I've been listening to these people for years. I speak their language fluently. You obviously haven't, which is why you don't understand. You have two choices. You can either learn to speak their language and learn to understand what they're saying, or you can give up and take your toys and go home and be ignorant for the rest of your life. Those are your two options. Choose. Do you want to learn what they're saying, or do you want to take your toys and go home and be ignorant for the rest of your life? Because those are the only options that exist.
Defy the back to work legislation. But without a core of revolutionaries to move those rebellions forward, the combined force of the capitalist class and the union establishment break the workers' confidence and rein them in and pull the plug. So as I said, the union establishment are the primary obstacle blocking workers from organizing as a class, and this question cannot be avoided by anyone hoping to build in the working class.
Thank you, comrade. I've got Angela next on stack.
Hello, comrades. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm Angelo from Italy in the Communist Workers' Party, that is the Italian section of the International Socialist League. And I wanted to raise a question about the actual building of this party, of the Revolutionary Party right now in the United States of America, this early stage. So as far as I understood, Socialist Horizon and Firebrand have been undergoing some kind of regroupment process, but I wanted to underline something. I wanted to ask a question about Firebrand. I noticed that you comrades have a pretty how can I say it? Still stance against weapon shipment to Ukraine, while, for example, the Communist Workers' Party has a different position. So we are not like directly against weapon shipment to Ukraine, but for example, if we were to be in parliament, we would vote against it because it comes with a package of also of military spending and a lot of things. So I wanted to know more about this and how this is affecting the regroupment, and to know a little bit more on this question by Socialist Horizon. And also another question about regroupment. In the United States right now, it seems that there are like 4 organizations that share very similar positions on a lot of things, which are Socialist Horizon, Firebrand, Solidarity, and the Tempest Collective.
Tempest Collective.
Why not try to bring in this process Solidarity and the Tempest Collective? I know that Tempest has a little problem with centralism due to kind of political trauma with the ISO, But still, you guys have the opportunity of having double memberships, which we do not have in Italy. And why not try to bring more together? Also, these four organizations. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelo. I've got
I do my level best to never listen to Ted Cruz because he's a Zionist shill for Israel who has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to the far left. Ted Cruz's office when this whole thing happened, Ted Cruz's office formed a committee to discuss whether or not they wanted to make a statement on this issue, and they decided to not make a statement. So that's how much Ted Cruz really cares about defeating communism in the United States. I recommend no one listen to Ted Cruz, and that Ted Cruz be summarily canceled from all of Republican and conservative politics, because he is a traitor shill to Israel that will always put Israel's interests before America, which he admitted when he talked to Tucker Carlson. The ISO is the International Socialist Organization, and the ISO essentially the ISO doesn't exist anymore because they had a Me Too scandal like several years ago where they ended up dissolving, but there are remnants of the ISO that still exist. Haymarket Books, which is the largest socialist book publisher in the United States, came out of the ISO. The Firebrand Collective, a lot of the people who are involved in the Firebrand Collective have history with the ISO. The Tempest Collective, which is another revolutionary group that we track, they have history with the ISO. So there's a lot of socialists and communists who came out of the International Socialist Organization, but the biggest thing you need to know is that organization dissolved, and they're very touchy about it.
Nate on stack.
Hey guys, I'm Nate from Denver Communists on Firebrand. I was going to ask a question. Has your opinion of the revolutionary potential of the self-employed workers evolved beyond Marxist dim view of the petit bourgeois? Now, I see a large and growing contingency of owner-operators, self-performing artisans, the side hustle and gig economy workers, and even the growing ranks of miscategorized subcontractors who are twice dispossessed, not only from their labor surplus, but from their proletariat identity.
I'm not sure, average person. That's a good question.
Are we still considering these people to be a burgeoning bourgeois in their class alignment? This seems a little ridiculous. I posit that a large portion of these workers are revolutionaries, seizing their own means of production after having grown impatient with the spineless and fractured left.
Thank you, Conrad. Let's go to Tyler.
Hey everyone, Tyler, Denver Communist. Firebrand, he, him pronoun, sorry. Caught me in the middle of eating a Reese's. Kind of in the vein of like building towards a revolutionary party, you know, obviously the main thing I think is like we first have to like really develop ourselves as building cadre and like solidify how we like, or like master that, whatever you want to say, right? And the like thing here in Denver that I believe that we've done is consistent. Like we've been consistent. We've consistently gone out. I mean, from 2020 when George Floyd was happening and, you know, identity politics, like really like liberal identity politics really ruled the world. We still stood on the way that we are right now, and it was very unpopular and it was very alienating and isolating, but we stood on that. And that consistency now today, people, especially even with like our drip campaign, people see us and they do point that out to us. They do say that. And so I think that that's like the biggest thing that like we have to do. Like we have to be willing to have intention. We have to be willing to meet that type of like, I guess, meet hostility head on and meet it enthusiastically, because you know, Jason always says this to us like in meetings and things, but like our ideas aren't going to be popular until they're popular, meaning it's a fight until it's no longer a fight. You know, Jim in his Andor thing said, we lose until we win, or, you know. So I think that, you know, we have to remember that. And like I said, we have to be willing to make hard arguments. We have to be willing to stand on principle rather than capitulate or water down politics to, you know, the lowest common denominator.
Hey, I really appreciate that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you. I appreciate it. Guys, I need to pee, so I'm gonna just let this play and I'm gonna be right back. And you guys can let me know if I miss anything important, but just listen to the communists. I'll be right back.
Right. Because if we would have done that a long time ago, during that time, during especially that uptick, we would have turned into a mutual aid group that would have dissolved by now. But instead, we've consistently grown as just a local organization. So yeah, I think that being consistent and being unafraid to be contentious is what we need to do.
All right, thank you. We've got Jason.
Thanks, y'all. Great talks. Great. And I'm looking forward to another day of discussions with everybody. Yeah, Steve, some of the notes that you hit that I thought were important, that we want to lead, not produce class struggle. And to me, and then this critique of infrastructures of dissent, that revolutionaries should go out and build the very, build a labor party, build much lesser infrastructures through their own efforts. Certainly, we should argue for that and nurture those things, but we do that first through revolutionary organization. Like how anyway, so we need to emphasize the revolutionary organization as something that we can it's a subjective factor, something that's more in our control, rather than an objective one that requires the movement of the class, and we can't make it go where. Yeah, well, anyway, we can't make it move. We can try to steer it. The emphasis on and so flowing from this comes this emphasis on ideas, on being scientific, on perhaps appearing abstract to some, but always being practically focused. Developing clarity and pursuing ideological struggle, in addition to political and economic struggle. Engels identified three levels or types of struggle: political, economic, and ideological, is important, and in its own right. So let's see. I thought, the characterization of mutual aid as sharing poverty is really important.
Wrap up, please, comrade.
Oh, damn! Are you kidding? Was that 2 minutes? Do I get another minute still?
Go ahead.
That was 2. Oh, I get another full minute. Okay, great. And then Tom kind of going through other left traditions or other left, was great, and I think we're in agreement across the board there. One thing you said about insurrectionist anarchists, or one thing that we've said about them, it's not the insurrection that we object to, it's the individual bit, it's the small group bit. We want.
I told you guys that Tom Alter was not the only person in this presentation to talk about overthrowing the government. This is Jason from the Denver Communists. We love Jason. Jason says the quiet part out loud. I'm fairly certain I actually released this clip. And then we watched a presentation where they explained it more explicitly. It's not the insurrection part they have an issue with. It's the individual part, because they don't think that small groups or individuals should be doing this stuff, because that works against the needs and the goals of the collective. I'm pretty sure I released this clip when it happened too.
Across the board there. One thing you said about insurrectionist anarchists, or one thing that we've said about them, it's not the insurrection that we object to, it's the individual bit, it's the small group bit. We're working toward a mass insurrection. That's not the part that we reject, and the same goes for well, I'll just say we love the essay by Trotsky, Why Marxists Oppose Individual Terrorism, and the individual bit is an important part of it.
We watched a whole presentation about the individual terrorism bit several months ago when this first happened. You guys can go back and look. I definitely released this clip. It didn't get as much play as the Tom Alter one, but again, this is another clip that none of your conservative influencers shared. Andy No didn't share this shit. Andy No refused because Andy No is jealous that my work is better than his, and so he doesn't share any of this stuff because he doesn't want people watching my work because it's better than his. They're explicit. In that presentation, and again, we watched a whole presentation about the idea of individual terrorism. It's not the terrorism part they have an issue with, it's the individual part they have an issue with because they want mass insurrection. They want mass terrorism. They're not being covert about what this is. Let's go back and watch this whole thing with Jason. We love Jason. Jason is awesome.
That was two. Go ahead.
Oh, I get another full minute. Okay, great. Yeah, and then Tom kind of going through other left traditions or other left, was great, and I think we're in agreement across the board there. One thing you said about insurrectionist anarchists, or one thing that we've said about them, it's not the insurrection that we object to, it's the individual bit, it's the small group bit. We're working toward a mass insurrection. So that's not the part that we reject, and the same goes for well, I'll just say we love the essay by Trotsky, Why Marxists Oppose Individual Terrorism, and the individual bit is an important part of the title. All right, thanks.
Thank you, comrade. Next, we have a message sent in via DM from the Ukrainian Socialist League. It says, on behalf of the Ukrainian Socialist League, we send our fraternal greetings. Building a revolutionary organization is an international task. We must create a global organization, an international, and this is exactly what the ISL, International Socialist League, is working on. So thank you for that. And on Stack, next we will go to Ben.
Hey y'all, how's my audio? Cool. Thanks, Mr. Allen, for chairing this meeting. Thanks to Steve and Tom for your kickoffs. They're wonderful. Particular thanks to Tom for letting me see Socialist in Texas in the same place for like maybe the first time in my entire life. I'm from Texas, born and raised in Austin. And I know organizing the South is something close to my heart, close to Tom's heart. And I saw Anderson on the call as well. I know GRS is obviously is also actively involved in organizing in places where it's not as fruitful, not as ripe for organizing, but doing that work regardless. I really look forward to a socialist Texas in the future, or whatever we rename it as. There's two things that I kind of want to touch on.
I didn't catch that the last time we watched this. I really look forward to a socialist Texas in the future, or whatever we rename Texas as, because again, guys, remember, socialists don't believe in borders. So, and when they say borders, they don't just mean borders around the country. They also mean borders around the states, borders around the cities, borders around your property. They don't believe in any borders. Borders are a manifestation of capitalism. So Texas and every other red state would literally not exist under their ideology.
doing that work regardless. I really look forward to a socialist Texas in the future, or whatever we rename it as. Yeah, there's two things that I kind of want to touch on. One was what Steve was talking about, just this concept of gravity around bourgeois politics, primarily opportunism within the Democratic Party, and how we can clearly understand that through the likes of the GSA and other various opportunist kind of like.
This is a good question. How can they name anything if there's no border? They would be naming them around communities, but like, remember, so capitalism is defined as private property ownership, right? So when they say private property ownership, they want the land to belong to the collective. They want they want the land to be open to everyone. So they're not talking about like land ownership when they're having a name of things. They're talking about, here is the name of our commune, essentially. And it's not like the commune doesn't have a border per se. It's just like it's like people involved in this community, in this community, in this community. It's like it kind of functions like cities and towns, but there's no official borders and everyone has access to all the land. That's kind of how they envision it, I believe. Oh, you must be new, Ian. Okay. Pop quiz for the chat. How do socialists make people work under socialism if they are not paying them? Pop quiz. How do socialists force people to work under socialism if there's no incentive to work? Food. They control the food supply. If you don't work, you don't eat. If you don't work, you don't get your food ration, because remember, there are no more private farms. The farms all belong to the collective. The food supply is controlled by the collective. If you don't work, you don't get your rations. You don't eat.
Currents within the broad left, but I think that analysis of gravity kind of extends to other facets of bourgeois ideology. I think we also have to be wary of gravity when it comes to mutual aid. We have to be wary of gravity when it comes to electoral campaigns more broadly. Wary of gravity when it comes to things like moralism, because I think that ultimately all of these things kind of lead back to the same dead ends. I think mostly we've talked before in this conference about moralism. I think moralism is especially important to avoid when it comes to environmental disaster. I think that we should be avoiding the politics of catastrophe, avoiding the politics of the world is on fire and we have to do everything now. I think we have to stay the course in the tradition that Tom and Steve so carefully laid out of organizing, recruiting, developing. Unfortunately,
there's a difference between can't work and won't work. Okay, so Marxists believe from each according to their ability, to each according to their need. So if someone can't work, they're disabled, they lost a leg or something, or they're old, or like whatever. There's a legitimate problem that prevents them from working. Under Marxist society, the community would care for them and provide them with their needs. So no one's going to starve because they can't work. But the question was not about can or can't. The question was won't. People who are perfectly capable of working and don't want to because they're not getting paid money because there's no incentive to work. If you are an able-bodied person that is able to work and you don't have any disability and there's no impairment and there's nothing preventing you're not like really old or something like that, then you are going to be expected to work and contribute to the community. And so that's the difference, is like if someone is disabled or if someone's old and they legitimately can't, they're going to be taken care of by everyone because it's from each according to their ability to each according to their need. But if you're perfectly like capable of working, you're like an able-bodied, 35-year-old man or whatever, you're going to work or you're going not to eat. Jen, thank you for the super chat. What would politics or revolutions and good old insurrectionists be without a little subterfuge? So true, Jen. So true. Appreciate the super chat.
Politics of catastrophe, the politics of alarmism, while they seem so enticing and they can lead to some big meetings, ultimately these politics lead us into things like lesser evilism, They lead us into irrational environmental radicalisms. And at times they lead us into Trumpism because people are so desperate for an answer. People are desperate for an answer, as Tom pointed out. People are asking questions, they're coming to conclusions, and we need to be providing an organizational home for them that doesn't just lead them into alarmism and catastrophe, but leads them into a revolutionary organization. Thank you so much.
Thank you, comrade. John Kay.
Thank you, comrades. This is an important discussion, no doubt about it. Centrally important. And I think I mostly agree with the speakers, and I think this whole discussion's been healthy. The party building question is an urgent task. I mean, given the crisis we're in, the multiple crises of capitalism, and in the U.S. certainly there's a big vanguard layer that's been scattered, and but I think I want to say that recruiting ones and twos is important, but it isn't sufficient. So, I would argue that we need a principled recruitment of revolutionary forces nationally and internationally, and this isn't going to be easy. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's not something we can just suck out of our thumbs. Failing that, united fronts, I think, are extremely important. But I know from experience that if you regroup without a high level of ideological or programmatic agreement, you end up. I was in a group called Solidarity for 15 years, and that was a group that was founded without real political clarity, and essentially, I think they were just, getting together to huddle together for warmth during the downturn.
I just want to point this out. If you saw this guy walking down the street, would you think he's a far leftist? Would you think he's a revolutionary communist? This guy looks like someone's grandpa, okay? This guy's been a revolutionary communist all his life. He's been involved in far left organizing all his life. Most of the people, and actually this is something that was surprising to people because people kept asking me when I released the clips of this. They were like, Karlyn, how many white men were at this conference? And I'm like, literally almost every single person at this conference is a white man. There are some white women too, but like almost every single person taking leadership roles at this particular conference is an old white guy or a middle-aged white guy. And it's just like, you would never think if you met these people in real life that these are revolutionary communists, but they are. And this is something I really want to impress upon people, especially people who are new, who think the only people who are leftists are people with crazy pink hair and tattoos and that are really fat and stuff like that. There are so many far leftists that are operating completely in the open that if you saw them in person, you would never know their politics. You would never know. And so don't ever make assumptions based on people's appearance. How many people online have said that I'm really Antifa because I look like a leftist? Well, what the fuck does a leftist look like? You're seeing so many people at this conference that he could put on a suit and tie and go to CPAC and no one would have any idea. No one would have any idea that he is a literal revolutionary, okay? Don't make assumptions about people's political beliefs based on how they look. It's a stupid, low-level, retard perspective that when you actually compare it to the real evidence, it just doesn't bear out at all. Hey, CB, appreciated. Genuine question, just for clarity. I love that people are kind of afraid to ask me questions, but if you're just asking a good question, then I'm not going to yell at you. What if you are technically disabled on paper, but still capable of working something? Again, from each according to their ability, to each according to their need. So if someone's disabled, but maybe they can still sew stuff, like they can't walk, but maybe they can sit there and use a sewing machine, then they'll be expected to sit there and use a sewing machine. Or maybe someone can't go out and work in the salt mines, but maybe they can sit around and watch kids to make sure kids aren't setting things on fire or whatever kids do. Like they will be assigned a job based on their ability and their ability. And if they're able to do something, they will be assigned a job relevant to that ability. And if they don't go and do that job, they're not going to eat, because that is part of their contribution to the community or the commune. Good question, though. I appreciate it.
Now, I'm in Workers' Voice. We're the result of a 2-year process of discussion. Some of y'all know us pretty well from the Revolutionary Socialist Network. And it took us 2 years to unify our two groups, even though we agreed a lot. And there's still,
we can fix you, Amalek.
We left aside the question of Cuba, which isn't like the most centrally important thing to unite around anyway. But we do think that there has to be a balance, we get this, between mass work and political ideological education. I do think we need implantation in the working class, and we need, even if it's modest, like we're mainly in the teachers union and Teamsters, but this gives you.
Wrap up, please, comrade.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, they're in the teachers unions and the Teamsters. Say that again, revolutionary communists. They're in the teachers union and the Teamsters.
Like we're mainly in the teachers union and Teamsters, but this gives you.
Wrap up, please, comrade.
Yeah. Okay. It gives you some grounding, at least understanding of the class on a day-to-day basis from the workplace, from the shop floor. But anyway, I'll stop there and just say thank you. And this is a good discussion.
All right, before we go on, just want to let y'all know that the stack is now full for the rest of the session. I do want to be able to throw it back to the speakers when we have about 10 minutes remaining, and I also want to make sure that comrades get at least 5 minutes to breathe and process before the next session. So the stack is now closed, and we'll move on with Justice.
All right, well, good day, comrades. Great presentation. I wanted to try my best at tackling this question of the self-employed and contract workers. Sorry, I can't right now. A little bad connection where I'm at, but okay, can you hear me all right? So I really feel like when it comes to the question of why we look to the working class, and specifically, looking at things like labor unions, we have to recognize that it's not necessarily just like a moral calculation, it's a class analysis that people in the workplace are forced to cooperate and get along with people that they would not otherwise interact with. And I really feel like this is, that's the kind of catalyst for the possibility to coordinate, inaction, especially when you have a common enemy, right? So your employer is the obvious one. And, I really feel like our ability to try and influence labor movements should be focused on trying to connect labor movements with ongoing social movements outside of the workplace that are already, capturing many workers, many people who, all the people who go to a protest for, Black Lives Matter or, protesting ICE, many of them have jobs as well. And some of them may be self-employed. In that regard, we can connect with people at social movements who are self-employed. But the truth is, when we're considering what it would take to really shut down, this country, something like a general strike, it does require, I think, a physical location where workers are working, or at least a shared employer and a method of communicating with, people who are doing that, things like what the Teamsters do. So having this vision of trying to connect to all the people who have recognized that working a job sucks and trying to be their own boss would be better than the alternative of exploitation.
Please, comrade.
It's like trying to scoop things out of the ocean. They're so disconnected, and their initial instinct is not going to be towards, immense cooperation, even to the point of sacrifice with complete strangers. They really have to have that connection of coworkers, I think, first. So that's my perspective.
Thank you, comrade. Fede.
Hello. Yeah, I'm gonna try to make the most of the 2 minutes. I think it's a good debate. It's a very important debate to have, and I want to take issue with two things that Steve and other Firebrand comrades.
If only someone could lead that isn't making any content right now. If only there was someone on the internet who was looking for content to make because he's bored and needs something to do, that maybe could lead that effort. If only someone could create a YouTube channel to have exactly those discussions, maybe under, I don't know, like, a pseudonym or like whatever you want to do. Maybe if only someone knew some other people that were capable of teaching this information, that he could invite to go do live streams with him where you guys were teaching other people everything you know about that particular topic without the insertion of any retard bullshit that used to happen in the Twitter spaces. If only there was someone on the internet that was capable of leading that effort, Amalek. Just saying, bro.
Expressed. One is the emphasis on that what we need to build now is not a revolutionary party, but propaganda group, build cadres, and not revolutionary party. I think building revolutionary party is exactly what revolutionaries have to do all of the time. It's the strategic thing that whatever else we're doing.
Hang on, Neko AF. I didn't even see you gifted 20 channel memberships over on Rumble. You must have done that when I was in the bathroom or something. I appreciate that, bro. Very generous. I apologize I didn't see it before now because you, like, when you gifted memberships and pushed it up out of the chat, I didn't see it. So thank you. Very generous. I appreciate all those gifted channel memberships over on Rumble. You rock, bro. Thank you. Yes, you do have to do stuff. Yeah, you have to sit on your ass. What else are you doing? This is what you do anyway. You sit on your ass and you listen to these things and then you clip them and you put them on the internet and you get really pissed off about it and you get really fiery because it's the Aries in you coming out and you do all this stuff anyway. The problem is you don't do it live on the internet with a group of friends. That's like, you're doing it all anyway. You put this stuff out all the time. What are you talking about? You don't even have to come onto camera. You could go get big tech to get you some sort of like anime thing that he's obsessed with making and make him make you an animation or something. You could have a little fucking virtual figure of yourself. So you don't have to reveal your secret identity.
Doing whatever stage we're at. I mean, a propaganda group is one stage of development of a revolutionary party. So the emphasis in not calling that, I think, is not the best. I think it's not good to put it off thinking if we attempt to build it now, it's going to turn into a microsect. And so we need to wait until and collaborate with the infrastructures or the working class movement being stronger before we can build a revolutionary party is mistaken. I think waiting until that it's inevitable that if we try to build revolutionary party now, we'll be taken aloof by reformists and opportunism. And so we need to put it off until we are stronger and have more cadres is just as mistaken. I think what we need to be doing all of the time is consciously building revolutionary party. And I think the regroupment we need is on that basis. Are there risks? Always. Is there the risk of overestimating ourselves? But it's a problem to underestimate ourselves as well. And this goes into, in less than a minute, I'll say the second thing, which is tactics are fine. It's turning into a permanent thing. A broad party, electoralism, implantation is bad. Not taking the opportunities when they arise and maintaining independence and building revolutionary party while we do that, it is bad to miss out on those opportunities. Because if we maintain ourselves, putting ourselves the limits, maintaining ourselves as a propaganda group, and missing out on the opportunities we have to take a qualitative step forward, we become endemic, and our politics become detached from the broader movement. Sorry if I went over.
Thank you, comrade. Justin's on stack.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks to the presentation, to the people who presented. I appreciate it. I just wanted to maybe come back on a couple points that I want to disagree with that were presented specifically. And one is related to the question of how we orient ourselves to people in struggle and to working class as a whole. And I would say that while I agree with the idea that we are, we need to build a sort of ideological struggle within movements and within the class struggle as a whole, I disagree with the idea that we have, that we approach very rigidly and have very sort of high set standards in terms of how we understand how people are breaking with capitalism and how people are moving towards radical or socialist consciousness. Because I think the process is generally uneven in which people are sort of moving in that direction. And while I agree that we don't want to sort of like engage with people who have fixed ideological differences, I think that many working class people, whether they're our coworkers or whether they're people, sort of we're meeting through different types of actions, community defense against ICE or whatever else, the process in which they're breaking with capitalism, moving in a more radical direction, breaking with the Democratic Party. We want to engage and have a process in which we're winning them through that process and trying to pull them closer towards a revolutionary and socialist consciousness. I also want to just challenge the idea, and this kind of builds on what Fede was saying about propaganda versus an orientation towards active engagement in the class struggle. And I think we need to be thinking, even as small and somewhat isolated revolutionaries, we need to have an active orientation towards class struggles in the workplace, but also in the sort of larger social movements of the class and struggle that are essentially developing around us. For instance,
wrap up, please, comrade.
Okay. For instance, committing ourselves to a sustained and organized presence in the anti-ICE defense campaigns, right? And sort of building the struggle alongside people who are fighting, against ICE, fighting to defend their families and communities, and basically committing ourselves to that project over the long term. Because I think that's where we can, demonstrate our politics, demonstrate our capacity to analyze, analyze the situation, but also commit ourselves as the organizers and the best fighters that are, not only understand that we're fighting against the state, we're fighting against capitalism, but understand that the methods that we'll need to sort of win the battles ahead are going to require higher levels of organization and the kind of politics that are going to not allow us to sort of be directed into Democratic Party campaigns or other
3 minutes. Thank you, comrade.
Okay, thank you.
We have Sam on staff. Sam from Socialist Horizon. All right, not hearing from Sam. Let's hear from Bill.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
All right, Sam, go ahead.
Apologies about that. Computer crashed and immediately came back. I just wanted to pick up on a couple of threads that have been mentioned so far, and really to this idea of like the speakers mentioned, a necessity of building of a united front approach. And I think as others before have brought up, there's multiple questions of, you know, these tactics on what are appropriate ways that we can try to realize the common banner of revolutionary socialism that's brought us all to this conference. But ultimately, I think the state of the strength of the labor movement and the socialist beliefs in the U.S. is such that we don't have a level of just national recognition of how that's defined, and where we've heard a lot of the success stories from folks at the conference, whether from Denver or Seattle or Madison and elsewhere, is a lot of really the common thread I'm hearing is it's local organizing, because while we're under the common banner of revolutionary socialism, the way that we have the resources and the people to apply that today and to take action today, I think we're finding is largely rooted in how we can apply that to local organizing. It's where we've seen a lot of success, I think on the Madison side at least. And so to me, this question of, you know, what does it look like to
Okay, this is a great question. What are my thoughts on yesterday's meeting at the White House between Zohran Mamdani and Donald Trump? Trump doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. And Zohran Mamdani. So what I heard about that meeting is that Zohran Mamdani wanted that meeting, and so he worked with intermediaries to get Trump to go along with it. And then Trump said he would only have the meeting if Zohran Mamdani didn't push his leftist bullshit. Because Zohran Mamdani, what Zohran Mamdani is afraid of is he's afraid of Trump pulling the federal funding from New York, because now Zohran Mamdani is in a position of actually having to be mayor and actually having to govern. He does not want Trump to pull federal funding from New York City, right? So Zohran Mamdani's like trying to get on Trump's nice side to be like, Trump, you know, we agree on reducing housing prices. We agree on this and that and the other. And so can we just play nicely on these things and you don't take my federal funding away? Trump, on the other hand, doesn't want Zohran Mamdani pushing his leftist bullshit. And he wants to be able to say that, like, he tried to work with him. And so mostly, I don't think Trump or anyone in the administration really understands the far left. I don't think any of them are really doing anything to fight the far left. And I think the fact that, but also, there are a lot of communists who are now pissed off at Zohran Mamdani for taking that meeting. So I don't know. It's kind of just all a big PR stunt. Pretty much everything the White House does is just a PR stunt. There's no actual teeth behind any of what they're doing in regards to things that are going to stop the far left. And so I just pretty much think it was a clown show. Good question, though.
Centralize more what is looking forward to a unified national revolutionary socialist party. These are important questions and are critical components of the theory side of the discussion, but the action, the core actions that we can take now as revolutionary socialists, I believe, are largely going to come from operating in the organizational units that we have now and doing what we can to fight the forces against us.
There we go.
You know, in the broadest sense, at whatever level that they fall on.
Really? Oh, I gotta look that up.
Yeah, that's the. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. And last speaker from the floor, Bill.
Bill.
Yeah, thanks, comrades. Great discussion. Great talks by Tom and Steve. I just want to respond.
Hey,
to
thanks,
Angela's
Salvatore,
quick
for that
question
chat.
about
I
Tempest
appreciate it.
and Solidarity. There are two speakers from Tempest at this conference, and there are folks from Solidarity at this conference. And the organizers of this conference have very friendly relationships with both of those groups. And there's more to say about your question, but I wanted to put that out. I also really want to kind of underscore what Fede has said via Tom's comments about the readiness of so many people for revolutionary socialism these days. Tom's talk really resonated with my experience of running into young people these days, especially who have already decided that capitalism is not the answer. The question is, how do we convince them that socialism is our socialism is what they need? And I think this is really a key question for us right now, vis-a-vis the reformist rise of Mamdani. And I had sort of a question for Steve, which is, you know, I think you would agree that the rise of the DSA had a lot to do with the fall of the ISO. Right?
Aha!
And I'd be curious to know what lessons you think we might have learned from that
It's a good
we can
question.
apply to the present as we're actually thinking about building a revolutionary party in relationship and to some extent in opposition to a strong reformist current. My position would be what Mamdani signifies is not simply a New York phenomenon, right? There are literally millions of people who probably would vote for a Mamdani candidate across the United States. We have to convince them that we're better class fighters, those people. I think this is what Fede was talking about yesterday. So what are your thoughts about how we do that going forward?
Thank you so much, Bill. All right, I will now throw it back to the speakers to have 5 minutes each to wrap up. So go ahead, Steve.
Okay, thanks. Great discussion. Bill, I think that this is going to be really short, but the problem of reformism, problem of opportunism, the effect of the ISO, that was the main thing. People wanted to get rich quick, and they saw that DSA was building and they wanted to be part of that. We need to just develop really hardcore, solid revolutionary politics and convince people that what we're trying to build is revolutionary organization. And as other people said, other things like broad parties are a tactical thing, but the main thing is building revolutionary organization. I wanted to touch on just a couple of the other questions. Angelo asked about Ukraine and arms. Firebrand has a firm position opposing U.S. Military intervention in Ukraine, sending arms, etc. We're not telling people in Ukraine where they should get their arms, but in terms of the U.S., we're opposed to the U.S. militarism and imperialist intervention, period. And we have a strong position on that. That is one of the differences we have with Tempest, which has been ambivalent on that, saying we do not oppose sending arms to Ukraine. So that's one difference. Another difference with Tempest is they have more of a support for a broad party idea, which we do not. And they're less solid on the need for actual Leninist organization. Obviously, we agree with Tempest on a lot of politics, and we want to work together, and we want to have that dialogue, but those are some of the differences we have. Nate raised the question of self-employment. I think we ought to be clear that in a revolutionary organization, anybody who's not a direct exploiter is free to join the organization. We don't check people's class credentials at the door, but as Justice and other people have said, the working class is the class that can collectively transform society. So we have an overall working class orientation, and anyone who wants to build that working class orientation and revolutionary movement is free to join the revolutionary organization. Fede's comment about we need to build the revolutionary party now. I don't know what, to be honest, I'm not sure exactly what that means. We need to have more discussion about that. We need to be realistic. We are small propaganda groups. That's what we are. We can say we're a party, or we're on the verge of forming a party. We can say anything we want, but we have to be realistic. And that is what we are. Propaganda group is on the way to building a revolutionary party, but we have to understand what stage we are at. And that relates to what Justin was saying about engaging. I totally agree. We need to engage in movements. We need to have tactical discussions and strategic discussions about what movements are most important to relate to. I totally agree on ICE. ICE is a crucial thing. We need to be involved in that. So it's not a question of not being involved. It's a question of being involved with revolutionary politics. So, okay. Thanks a lot. Great discussion. Let's keep it up. All these things need more development and more discussion. But anyway, that's it for right now for me.
Thank you so much, comrade. Let's have a wrap up from Tom.
Yeah, let's get a wrap up from Tom, but let's get the super chat first. Thanks, Lex. I tried asking this before, but it probably got lost somewhere. What do you think is a bigger threat to communism, or America, communism, or Islamification? All right. Here is honestly what I think about this. I don't like Islam. I don't want America to be Muslim. I think that Dearborn, Michigan is fuck off insane. I'm not going to Dearborn, Michigan anytime soon. Anytime, really. However, Muslims for the most part aren't doing anything to us. That is just the reality. And I really think that conservatives have been brainwashed to be Muslim, Islam. I think that conservative media and influencers have brainwashed their audience to believe that Muslims and Islam are really going to come and kill us all, and they're terrorists, and they're going to come and kill us all, and it's all over, and they're the most dangerous thing in the world. And again, I say this as someone who, I don't like Islam, I don't like Muslims. I think Dearborn, Michigan specifically is fuck off insane. However, for the most part, I think the rabid anti-Islam sentiment on the right is almost entirely created by conservative propaganda. And the reason they created it was because Israel wants us to go to war in the Middle East on their behalf. There is a reason that conservatives want you to hate Muslims. There is a reason that they talk about Muslims more than they talk about communism in America. And the reason is Israel wants us to go to war in the Middle East with Islamic countries based on their behalf. And so what do I think is a bigger threat to America? Communism. Communism. The far left. It's not even fucking close. The far left controls our public schools. Islam and Muslims do not control the public schools. The far left controls the universities. Islam and Muslim do not control the fucking universities. There are a couple little outposts in the United States that I don't like, but to be quite frank, it's like the threat of Islams and Muslims in America, it's so minuscule. It's so fucking tiny compared to the threat of the radical revolutionary far left, which has totally taken over like every major institution in our country. It's not even fucking close. And so like that is my answer. Like I don't fucking care about I don't like Islam and Muslims. I don't want them to be here. They should go back to the fucking Middle East. But the reason that most conservatives hate them have nothing to do with reality. It has nothing to do with anything other than they consume too much propaganda that teaches them to hate them because the fucking Zionists want us to go to war in the Middle East and send Americans to die on behalf of Israel. That's what I think.
Thank you, everyone. Great discussion. Yeah, just agreeing with Steve. I mean, I never, on the gig workers, I personally never considered gig workers not part of the working class. Now, getting to where we're at now, people are in the streets. The working class is fighting. They are yearning for organization. True, we are not a mass party now. We are distributing propaganda. We are training cadre. But at the same time, we're building a party now that we want to be part of the struggles of the working class. Because I think people are looking, because I don't really have like really heated discussions with people anymore where I have to be too argumentative. I mean, I'm in Central Texas at a majority minority university, first generation working class students. So I'm in a situation where I'm majority minority and with working class people. So I rarely find myself in some where I have to be ideologically pure. I think people are looking to fight back. And that's, I think, why the PSL has grown. They're looking for an organization and then they find it. Now, how long, I've seen a lot of young people just getting chewed up and spit out by the PSL. And that's one of the things that's like motivated me we need to build a party now. We're not opportunists. We're not bending on our position towards the Democratic Party. We're not looking to China or campism. That's what we agree with Firebrand with. And we agree with what Steve said about Ukraine. That's why we're looking at regroupment, because we do have these ideological agreements on these kind of basic principles of who we're looking towards. We look to the working class. We're not looking towards socialism, top-down socialism, looking for socialism from the bottom up. I was fiery in talking about the DSA, but I'm not, when I get in my conversation with them, I'm not like attacking them. I was in the DSA myself. I went through that experience. It was a failed experience right here. Our example is to be part of the struggle.
The DSA is a failed experience. He tried being in the DSA. It didn't work. The DSA is the failed experience.
I was fiery in talking about the DSA, but I'm not, when I get in my conversation with them, I'm not like attacking them. I was in the DSA myself. I went through that experience. It was a failed experience right here. Our example is to be part of the struggle. What I've been doing is been part of Palestine Solidarity and active in my union. So Revolutionary Party, I feel, is the school. Revolutionary Party is the school of the working class. It is the training ground for cadre to go through joint struggle together in a revolutionary party. So I think if we have these basic principles that they're agreeing with, we're not going to look towards China. We're not looking towards Putin. We're going to be fighting the Democrats and looking towards building working class power. Let's build it. Join.
We're not looking towards China. We're not looking towards Putin. We're going to be fighting the Democrats in terms of building working class power.
Revolutionary Party. So I think if we have these basic principles that they're agreeing with, we're not going to look towards China. We're not looking towards Putin. We're going to be fighting the Democrats and looking towards building working class power. Let's build it. Join Socialist Horizon, join Firebrand, join the ISL. Let's fight for a revolutionary party and win. So thank you.
Thank you, comrade. All right. Hey, look at that. Everybody has 5 minutes to take a breath.
We're not
before
done
the
yet.
beginning of the next session.
We're not done yet. So that is the official end of the session. But something happened on the break that's really important. It's a perfect way to wrap this up. And I know we've already been streaming for 3.5 hours, and I know people are tired and crazy. But also, hasn't it been nice for like the second half of the stream where we had no more retardation in the chat? We had so much retardation in the chat in the first half of the stream. I got really pissed off. I started yelling at people. I had to ban 4 or 5 people for being retards. Like, we got through the second half of the stream. People are asking good questions. It's so much nicer. I'm in a better mood. All that stuff. Hasn't it been nicer since all the retards were exited? But something happened that I want to make sure you guys see. Hang on. We're just going to get to it.
Thanks for a great session, everybody.
So, of course, I didn't stop recording the entire time. I just let it record. And just wait. Yeah. This guy's clearly unemployed.
Tom.
Here it is.
Is it true that Texas State trains the most public school teachers in the country? I remember that stat circling around like a couple years ago when Texas State was getting all like the shit that it always gets for being like like the lesser school in Texas.
Yeah,
I remember somebody saying, yeah, exactly. But I remember somebody saying, I remember like that getting circular around that it like trains like the most public sector teachers in the country.
That it definitely is for Texas, because that's what it was started as a teacher school. Actually, that's what Lyndon Johnson went here.
Yeah.
I can't wait till the day when we tear down the Lyndon Johnson statue on campus as
Hell
well.
yeah.
But yeah, so Texas State's grown. It's now like the 19th largest school campus in the country. So that would kind of make sense that it would be in training for teachers in the country. So I haven't actually heard that, and they usually do kind of trumpet those statistics when it is. But we do a lot. That's most of my students as well. They're a lot of them are education majors. So
history education.
Yeah.
Most of his students at Texas State University are education majors. Hot mic, Tommy. Hot mic. Real sorry I caught you saying that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Comrades, I just want to say hello to international comrades, especially hello to Susan Rosenthal, Ian here from Vancouver, also Robin Wiley.
That's pretty much the end of it. That's the end of it. And listen, this recording, this is a full day recording. This is 6 hours and 46 minutes. We recorded, this is the entire day 2. I have day 1 of their conference recorded as well. Let me show it to you. I was thinking about watching a presentation from that. Maybe we will do this sometime this week, but this is the day 1 recording, 7 hours. So we have about 14 hours of socialist recordings just from this one conference. And I've never released the full recordings. I've released a clip here or there. Yeah, it's totally messed up how I took him so out of context by releasing a clip. By the way, if you look at, again, I just want to point this out, and fuck you, Amalek, fuck you right off. I just want to point this out. Hang on, let me make my screen go back so you can actually see. There we go. In this piece that I originally released, I released every single thing that Tom Alter said completely unedited. And so fuck you to every media outlet who said that I clipped this out of context or selectively edited it. You guys are all full of shit. I did no such thing. I played you every single thing that he said. We all saw it. We all know what he said. And now he is fucking fired. And I won. And you guys lost. And I am the modern day McCarthy. And there ain't shit you guys can do about it. And I will get as many college professors fired from their jobs now that we have this model of all we need to do is catch the college professors calling for the overthrow of the federal government, and they can be fired and they can't get their jobs back. This is a full-on war. We are declaring war against every communist college professor in the country. And we're going to follow you fuckers around, and we're going to make a list of you guys, and we're going to follow you all around. We're going to get you all fired from your jobs. We're going to watch every single thing you do. We're going to recruit a team of people. It's not going to be just me. We're going to recruit a team of people. We're going to watch every single thing you guys say and do on the internet. And if you guys talk about overthrowing the government or other stupid illegal shit that you guys talk about from behind closed doors, we are going to put that out on the internet, and we are going to try to get you fired from your teaching jobs at publicly funded universities, and there ain't shit you can do about it. And I will keep doing this until conservative media and conservative influencers want to actually start paying attention and want to actually start doing something about it. And I'm fine with that. Did you catch the definition for queer tax? It was mentioned within the first 15 minutes. That I don't know. I don't know, Doug. I don't know. I'll have to look back at that. McCarthy is always listening. I want these people to be paranoid forever. We are always listening to you, communists. We will always be recording you. And it won't just be me. I have people who are undercover with these different groups that go to all their meetings, and we record all your shit. And just because I don't release it on the internet right away, or just because it doesn't go public right away, doesn't mean we don't have the recording. So that's all. That's all. If you guys want to support the work I'm doing, head over to the Substack. That is Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. If you want to reward me for getting the communists fired in a spectacular fashion that has not been done in the last 70 years since the McCarthy era, feel free to support my work. Sign up for $8 a month, $80 a year. I can't do this unless you guys fund this work I'm doing. The more people who fund it, the more work we can do. Thank you, Malcolm, for the super chat. So they want to plant the seeds at the college campuses and hope that the seeds blossom and flourish one day? Yes. The end goal is to overthrow the government. Yes, that is exactly right. We are always listening. We are always listening. We are always recording. We want communists to be completely afraid that we are recording them at all times. Because here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. Hang on. Damn it. Whether we are recording them or we aren't recording them, I want them to be constantly paranoid that we're listening to every single thing that we say, that they say. Because the thing of it is I think they'll be much less likely to openly talk about overthrowing the government on Zoom calls where technology gives them the ability to organize on a much more mass scale. If we can inhibit them from utilizing technology to organize, and then they're stuck doing private calls or only organizing in person or stuff like that, that significantly reduces the number of people that they're able to reach. All right, so it's not a total W for them to be constantly paranoid, but if they stop using like online calls or like YouTube or Vimeo or things like that, where they have to actually stand by their words because we've got them on video saying it. If they are not able to use those things to talk about their real plans, then they're going to be relegated to a much more small group of people that they're actually able to reach, which is good for us because it's throwing sand in their gears so they can't organize as quickly and they can't reach as many people and they can't indoctrinate as many people and all that stuff. So if they're constantly paranoid that I'm listening to them and recording them, that's good enough for me. Thanks for putting up with all the dumbasses tonight. Insurrectionary Mutual Aid here. Charity, thank you. Thank you. You know, we got to put up with some dumbasses. We got to weed them out of the community. because we cannot have stupid people here disrupting our work. It's too important. So guys, that is all we have. That is all we have. That's it. I don't know if I should do protest coverage tonight. Last night was pretty boring. I did a little bit of protest coverage last night, and it was super, super boring. Hans, thank you for this. I do appreciate it. Maybe I will. I don't know if anything's going on, but it is Saturday, so something could go on. It's about 6:30 in Portland, so things should just be picking up there. We'll take a look and see if it's worth doing, but maybe I'll be back, maybe I won't. But as a reminder, I do usually take Sundays off to basically have a life and stuff like that. And so we do movie night in my Discord every Sunday night at 8 p.m. I forget what Jennifer is watching tomorrow, but I'm sure it's going to be good. We also do movie night in the Discord every Monday night at 9 p.m. And if you want to join the Discord, become a supporter on the YouTube channel. I will post the link out to all channel members tomorrow. I also post the link to locals, which I think the Rumble people should be able to get into my locals or something. I think that's how that works. So if you're in locals, you should be able to get the link if you're a supporter. I also posted to the Substack and stuff like that. If you're a supporter or channel member and you don't see it, just reach out to me and I'll send it to you. You're going to have to verify that you're actually a member, but I will send it to you if you just reach out to me. And stuff like that. So Andy and because there was the No Kings thing, right? So I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I'm gonna bounce, but thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you to everyone who super chatted tonight. I really do appreciate you guys supporting the work I do. And maybe you'll see me later, and maybe you'll see me on Monday. I guess we'll have to see. Take care, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here? 3 months, May 17th. And what brought you? That's difficult to answer. to influence my thinking and consequently my action.
What is it you're trying to do with your life?
Play the piano for the people.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.